hello. Okay, let's close that before it starts to autoplay at the top of the list again. Okay. Hi, everybody. How are you today? Violet, thank you for the link. Let me make sure I pull that up so that I can add it to my show notes. Appreciate that. Also, Gayfesh and Timerinia, Raven, hello, Baphomet, Morningstar System. I think I said Baphomet twice, didn't I? And Athiet, of course. And then in the YouTube chat, Amel said, hi, it's been a while. Maria, Druzilla, Jake, and Felix, and Anansi. Hello, hello, hello. I didn't say Baphomet twice. Okay, good. Well, I know I've said it like 3 times. Congratulations to me. So, we're settling in, you know. As ever, we went on Hollow's Empty Spaces Twitter account and saw someone posted the RGR shit NATO. Hilarious to see it there. Yeah, I did not add it to the title of the stream at this particular moment, but we are going to talk about the new news about Riley Grace Rochong and her board of directors that she's on. I'm writing a thread about the RGR shit right now. Ugh, it's juicy. Silent also sent me the link to an LGBTQ Nation article about it. So I sent the URL with their picture was posted on instead of the image itself. Ah, okay. Well, hello, Juneau, Alaska. Hello. Oh, my hair has got some knots in it. That's all right. Okay, this is the link that you actually meant to send. Oh, I see. Okay. I hope the RGR thing turns out to be not true. Why is that, Trout Dealer? Can't believe I have to share a name with her. Uh-oh. Oh, gosh, my hair is being ridiculous right now. I got a knot in it. Right there. This is what it's like to have super fine hair. It likes to wreck itself a little bit. Anyway, so today we have a fun show ahead because we're going to talk about, a little bit of like mostly just petty drama with regards to, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the reason that I'm covering it is petty drama because Riley Grace Rochong does not work at like a high level of government or anything. It's not really the kind of thing that I'm generally going to discuss because it's like a serious thing that I take seriously. It's mostly because I think that she's kind of a meme at this point, and I don't really mind treating her that way at this point. I don't want to lose faith in humanity. Yeah, I lose too much of my hair on its own just falling out all the time, Baphomet. I can't afford to like rip it out on purpose, you know? Not something I can do. Not something I can do. But so then when we get past the stuff that I want to talk about for funsies, we have Nazis demonstrating at a drag event. There were no children at this event, by the way. But they were out there with their swastika flags, so we're going to look at that. We now have an undercut. Ooh, this is a good time of year to get an undercut because it's fucking hot. Like, it definitely makes things a little bit easier to just get all of your hair off of your scalp. I might need to buzz my hair more often than I have been, so. Have you thought about reading stories, asks Anansi. It's so comforting and soothing to sleep to. People have definitely brought up that I could do readings. It would just be a matter of like, what is it okay to post material? Like, it's copyrighted, right? You know? And like, some places have official avenues by which they sell like audio copies of text materials. So readings, yeah, like reading stories, not like tarot readings. Although I do think that it would be fun and very kooky to learn how to read runes. And by read runes, I mean get good at making shit up because runes don't actually mean anything. So read Shakespeare, true. So then we're going to talk about the new WPATH trans health guidelines, which included some like changing of age restrictions on minors and shit like that. What's up, Wreckage? How's it going? And then Biden declared the pandemic over. So those are kind of the things that I wanted to talk about today. Potentially, if we have time, I suppose today we will also watch the Anthony Padilla video about, like, I spent a day with trans men. Could be fun. I might also save that for later in the week because we definitely want to make sure we have material on Thursday and Friday. Those are the 2 other stream days for now until I'm done doing my seasonal weekend job. Fat in the Bat. What's up, Paul Hack? How's it going? The Bat in the Hat? Yeah. The new WPATH Standards of Care 8 are now out. So that is what we're going to be going over. Feeling awful. Oh no. Let's do our check-in so first of all, can you all hit like on the stream, please? That would be much appreciated. It always helps the stream. And while we're doing that, if you want to share, what is something you've done to take care of yourself since the last time I saw you? Did you hang out with friends? Did you drink water? Did you read a book? Had therapy today? Yes. I was really considering quitting therapy, and I'm going to stick with it for at least another couple of months. Like, just to help with the, sort of upcoming transition period that's going to be happening. What's up, De Silva? Hey, thank you for liking. Appreciate you. Lots of people going to therapy. Going to therapy in a couple hours. I started going back to therapy. Damn. I'm so proud of all you little beans. Had a panic attack and 911 sent the police instead. Oh shit, that's not good. Hope you're okay, Jake. Canton Capybara says, I'm on top of my school and I'm gearing up to paint miniatures for my D&D games with friends. That sounds like a lot of fun. I've never painted D&D miniatures. It sounds like something that would be very time consuming. I'm kind of like, actually, I'm starting to brew in my mind, like, what are some hobbies that I want to take the time to start developing when I have the time and the space to do it, which is going to be soon. So I'm like, I really want to focus up on, I think, music again, and like expanding my abilities and like my interest in that regard. And like, I don't know, all kinds of art stuff that I would like to do. Took a couple days but recovered. That's good to hear, Jake. Shared stories with my deceased partner's kid. She loves it a lot. My therapist recommended it. That's cool. It's a good way for you both to feel connected. Felix says, I'm working on a giant Bulbasaur plushie for my girlfriend because she adores Bulbasaur. I'm hand sewing it. Holy shit. So far, out of 12 hours of work, I've only finished sewing the long vines that are going to be in a pocket in the bulb because I thought it was a cool idea. That is a neat idea. Absolutely. Watching stream or movies is already a hobby, so now I can just paint also. Yeah. Yeah, that's really cool, Felix. Hand sewing sounds like a fucking bitch. Like, honestly, I have a sewing machine right here that I need to have serviced, like tuned and everything. Getting things in order for stream. Curled up on the giant beanbag in the living room after spending most of the day in a group telling a school board that transphobia is harmful. I was thinking about adding a giant beanbag chair to my Amazon wish list because I'm feeling like I want one in the future. One of my girlfriend's entire family has COVID. That sucks. I am sorry to hear that. Beanbag chair sounds so comfy. Yeah. I just don't, yeah, it depends on like how much space I end up working with. I got gaslit to shit last night and otherwise continue to deal with casual bigotry. I am sorry to hear that, Wreckage. I can understand why you don't feel very well, and I probably wouldn't feel very well either if I was dealing with that on a regular basis. So hopefully you'll feel a little bit better after having this space to chill out in. Because I'm certainly, like, I always enjoy coming in and just hanging out, you know? It's a good time. The stuff that I choose to talk about, sometimes I'm like, damn, why the fuck are we talking about this politics shit? Like, this bums me out. But, you know, it's important, but it's also important to mix that with stupid bullshit sometimes, okay? We're just going to do stupid bullshit occasionally. And we're going to enjoy it, okay? Hail, hydrate. Oh shit, after 13 hours in a salon chair, I have my extensions. Wow. That is that's like so much patience. I look pretty andro now. That's an extreme amount of patience. Being in a salon chair for 13 hours. I feel like I would lose my fucking mind. Man, like I cannot imagine having someone touch me for that long or like touch my hair for that long. Your fortitude and constitution are remarkable, Anansi. Yeah, so let's see if there's anything particularly of note that I've done the last couple days. I have been like essentially hiking at Ye Old Renaissance Fair every weekend, which is like healthy. I feel like working on communication and shit is starting to kind of pan out a little bit here, you know? Making future plans. Luxander says, planning on getting out of the U.S. next June to go to my mom's home country. Is anybody else trying to get out? I had been thinking that like I was really going to try to get the fuck out of the country like really soon. And I still am really freaked out about the reality of how fucked up things are, you know? Like I'm still pretty freaked out about like, I mean, ever since the Pulse shooting back in, 2016, I have felt pretty firmly like I shouldn't go to queer places because of the potential danger. And so like fundamentally, I still think that this country is an unsafe place for me to be as a queer person. I wish I could do those things. So I would like to get out, but I'm not making any immediate plans to get out because a whole lot of other things are going on in like just my actual life, you know? So I am going to be moving soon, but just locally, you know, in my area. I am probably going to start a GoFundMe for that. I just cannot bring myself to publish it. I don't know why. But I am going to be moving in probably a couple months, just depending on what the housing market is like over the next couple months. You know how it goes. Yeah, I wish you the best of luck in getting to Canada. I guess that's the goal, you know. There's just so much other things going on right now. It's basically like I'm just going to watchful wait and keep tabs on things. This is going to be my job, you know, like for the foreseeable future, unless things go terribly awful, because the channel is growing. There are more and more people here all the time. Thank you all so much for being here. And, you know, every time you hit like on the stream, every time you share the content, every time you leave a comment on the videos, all of your subscriptions and donations, like all that shit helps me get further to my goal of like, having my own place to live in the nearer future, but like having the ability to go to Canada or having the ability to save up for bottom surgery. Those are all things that I would like to be able to do, and you all make it possible. So thank you. We appreciate it. Wreckage says, my plans for escaping the country are moving forward nicely. See, so Luxander, you do have someone in the website chat, which is the top link in the description on the YouTube page, who is also planning on getting the fuck out of the country. I think you're both, are you talking about both being U.S.? Jake asked, how was the Ren Fair? Every weekend, it's amazing. This past weekend was hot as fuck, but in general, it was a great weekend, and I've been enjoying myself and making a little bit of extra money. And I don't really know if it's extra money because I haven't quite figured out if it's actually like, if I'm actually losing out on a lot on my Sunday streams, because maybe it kind of seems like my Sunday streams get a lot of views and therefore a lot of donations. And I'm like, where am I compared to other months at this time of the month? Pretty far behind my goals for the month on donations, but that's okay. Just going to keep going. Just going to keep streaming. Not much else I can do. Oh shit. Anansi says I got harassed by security at the Pride Festival here, so no more Pride for a while for me, at least not alone. Damn. Yeah, like that's what I mean. Like, I fucking hate this country. God. Cheap universities in the EU can help you get over there to stay and qualify for residency and then citizenship. Yeah, that's a good idea. I don't know if the universities are as inexpensive if you are from elsewhere, you know? Germany has free uni if you can get in. I thought that Germany had like a housing shortage, but that might have been a few years ago. School is moving forward. Fundraising prep is moving forward. I might be able to leave much faster than originally expected. Fundraising really is the critical part. Yeah, I feel like bad about having to fundraise, like, but I think it's necessary in certain situations. Like, I'm probably going to need help, like, affording, you know, a month's rent plus deposit when I move into the new place. Plus, there's the matter of, like, application fees and a hold on the apartment or wherever, the house, the apartment, wherever I end up renting. John Keller says, do you believe there's a difference between masculine and muscular? You know, I mean, I think that muscular is more of like a physical descriptor, and that like a woman being muscular doesn't make her masculine. Although we could say that a man who is more muscular might be considered more masculine, or like fitting a masculine ideal. And I could potentially see it argued that a woman who is very buff might be transgressing femininity to a degree, but they can also be extremely femme, and that would be more of like a judgmental thing that I can imagine some people describing it as, rather than my personal opinion that her being muscular makes her masculine. No, Juniper, we have not talked about any of the topics yet. I have only been on camera for about 15 minutes, so we are still easing in. Do you have a Venmo? I can chip in a little before my payday. I think I do. I can't remember what the thingy though is. Like I can't remember what the info for my Venmo is, because I only use it personally, really. Yeah, masculinity is often associated with masculinity. Or sorry, being muscular is often associated with masculinity in many cultures, I think. What's up, Raccoon Pope? First stream I've caught in a while. Welcome in. Don't forget to hit the like button. Please and thank you. Appreciate you all. Oh yeah, true. You don't always see the muscles under the fatty layer. Andrew Tate is muscular but not masculine. He's more like a weak and wet shit. Oh my god. That's pretty funny. I want to dress up and go to Ren fairs and cons, but severe anxiety is preventing it. Felix, do you have like specific anxiety or just like a general anxiety? Like, because if it's like a COVID anxiety thing, you know, Ren fairs are generally outside and you can wear a mask. And if you go on like a day that it's like cold or rainy, or if there's like another event going on, like a concert or something going on like the same day in that area, then like they might there might be fewer people or whatever. Like you can plan to go on days when there's fewer people. My favorite days are the days when there's like a sports game. So it's like, oh, everybody's probably gonna like clear out around the time that the sports game comes on. Oh, no worries. I'm extremely low on social energy, but I'll stick around here for as long as I can. We appreciate you hanging out for any period of time that you have the energy for. As always. Not gonna lie, I'm just curious what the fuck RGR is fucking around with. Now I know what the rest of the stuff is. I don't have the energy to defend my decision to both get an education and not get double holocausted in my home country. Please fuck off, Ian. Oh, are you talking to... You're talking to someone else in chat. My bad. Most places aren't safe, including Canada and Germany. I mean, yeah, like, it's not perfect, but there are, like, certain places that are more or less safe or whatever, right? Like, I would say the US is less safe than Canada on average. Depends on where you live in Canada, too, you know, probably. What is up, Mersh? How's it going? panic around too many people, especially if I'm alone. Yeah, I can see that being difficult. I don't mind being alone at the Renaissance Festival because I have been there my entire life. More transphobic attacks in Germany this year than years before. It can be more dangerous there on average than previous years. And like the US is probably more dangerous on average than previous years, you know? Yeah, anti-trans sentiment in all the Western countries. It's pretty disappointing. Ooh, I forgot that there were events on House of the Dragon this week that might be worth talking about on stream, but I don't actually know if I have processed it well enough to have any thoughts so soon. I only just watched it yesterday evening, so I think I need to like watch it again to get my opinion. I haven't seen the latest Hot D. Okay, I'll wait until Thursday then. I will wait until Thursday to talk about it. She Who Knows No Name. I'll take some good news, yeah. I'll take some good news, and then we will prepare to shift over into talking about actual topics today. Tucker Carlson just recently called on parents to attack LGBTQIA plus supporting teachers and doctors. That is not surprising, honestly. Tucker Carlson is kind of a huge piece of shit, so I'm not terribly surprised by that. Oh, you got a conlanging job. Holy shit, who do you work for? Like, I mean, like, is it a video game that you're conlanging for? Or are you going to do it for movies? Like, what are you doing? That's fucking cool. Ooh, Anansi getting electrolysis tomorrow. Oh, that's good shit. I wonder, sometimes I'm like, should I just go ahead and start doing my electrolysis on my arm? Because I'm thinking about calling the clinic that I want to work with for my phalloplasty this week and getting in touch with them for the purpose of getting a consultation. Because I hear that consultations are booked out to like 2024. So if I can get on that list, it's just going to be so long. Like if I can't even get in for a consultation until 2024, then like I have plenty of time to try to figure out like specifics and get money together and shit, you know? Because I'm definitely gonna need to fundraise for that, right? I think that you can fight against right-wing organizations pushing for your genocide from a safer place. If you feel that the amount of risk that you're dealing with in a particular country is too unacceptable, you know? Ah. Because, like, I would rather, like, be part of the Underground Railroad getting other trans people out of the country than to try to stay in the country and like, oh, but we need to do something to make it better. Like, nope, fuck it. Like, I know I don't like not care about the other trans people who are going to have a harder time getting out than I will, but I'm like more likely to go somewhere else, live to see another day, and help be part of the pipeline that gets them out of the country, right? We'll hopefully be signing a contract and starting next week. Okay, a card game. Okay, yeah. I didn't want you to tell me what it specifically was, She Who Knows No Name. Like, I was just curious what kind of stuff you were going to get into. Y'all are so angry right now. I hope that people are not like shaming each other's choices, you know? Yeah, safety is a spectrum and there's no perfect place. I can agree with that. Oh yeah, exactly. So Solander says, once I get out, I want other people to feel like they know someone they can go to, you know? That is one of the ideas. I'm going to be remaining for now. Not because I have hope for the country or anything, but because I want to remain local, you know? What is up, Analia? First of all, how's it going? Got a tier 1 sub. That's amazing. Thank you so much. We really appreciate that. Donos are light this month, so I'm so hyped to receive your blessing. Hey, there we go. Very nice. Thank you so much. I want to be the trans person who becomes the scary thing transphobes whisper about in the night, like living in the woods with my swords. Oh, man. And now I must buckle down and write an essay rant that's cited for an undergrad journal on BSL inclusion in school. Okay. Have fun writing your paper. I could get a study visa or work permit, but not citizenship. UK housing was expensive, but if you find a good site, I'm down. I wish that the chat was being nicer because it's making me feel like I need to do something. And I'm like, oh, I didn't want to deal with this tonight. Please be nice. Morningstar system, come on. We have like similar rules of engagement on the chat website as we do in the Discord server, okay? We have to like not assume that people are making people feel like shit on purpose, you know? At least when it's not an obvious chud, you know? Oh, God. I should get my links ready to talk about RGR. I don't even know how many people here are, like, aware of who Riley Grace Rochong is or what she has done in the past. Like, why is it noteworthy that she has said or done anything in the recent past? You know, why do we care about her or what has happened with her, right? These are questions that we may have when bringing this person up. I used to be in her Discord before she got whack. Oh my gosh. What's up, Tormoose? Welcome in. Haven't heard of her before tonight. She's noteworthy for being a POS who downplays human trafficking and CSA. Yes, thank you, Gayfesh. I think I have that one open. So I have my, I have that and the one that you shared with the letter. RGR at the start was pretty cool. Yes. So RGR was she was like an influential trans streamer who I think rose to prominence largely because Destiny, former Twitch streamer, really liked her and wanted her to be more popular, right? So, and she was the kind of person who was like, I need to rehabilitate Calvin Guerra and get him to stop being a harmful transmed. And the people who Calvin had targeted didn't really feel like he was rehabilitated when she declared that he was rehabilitated and people should stop criticizing him, basically. Eventually, when it all came to a head, she was making some arguments about the behavior that people should or should not engage in at a Pride event or something like that. And fellow streamer, well, former streamer, I don't know, streamer currently on a hiatus, Doe, made a point on Twitter that was basically like, if you're engaging in a kink in a way that's like, let's say your partner has a foot fetish, so when you go to the beach, you take your shoes off to walk around, and because you know that it's like exciting to your partner, if there were children on the beach, that would not be pedophilic behavior. Like, it would not be casting aspersions anyone around you or whatever, because Riley was making some arguments that were basically like, if you wear a leather mask, like a leather kinky mask, or like kinky gear to Pride, you are in effect exposing children to a kink. So, and that's pedophilia, right? So yeah, we're going to do RGR shit. Don't worry. So that was like the issue, and they ended up having a debate about it, Doe versus Riley Grace Rochong, and it was just one of the most embarrassing things I've ever seen. Riley repeatedly interrupted Doe. Like, Doe could barely get a goddamn word out. And it was so patient. Doe was so patient. Doe's current occupation is being a bookworm. You know, I appreciate the Twitter threads that Doe throws down. I find them difficult to process sometimes, but that's because I am a tired person. And then, yeah, in that conversation, basically Riley downplayed Doe's experience as a like sexual assault victim, like a child sexual assault victim, by basically dodging the issue of like what actually constitutes harm toward children, like what actually constitutes breaking a child's consent. Like, does wearing no shoes constitute like the same violation as like hurting or raping that child? Like, no, not really. But Riley embarrassed herself tremendously and then moved on to continue to embarrass herself tremendously on Vosh's stream. It's pretty ridiculous. Whenever Doe tweets, I like the tweet, go words, smirt, and then don't read it. Yeah, basically. So that is the last I had basically heard of Riley. At some point, I started criticizing her behavior and she blocked me on Twitter. So I check on her on my alt sometimes, but otherwise, like, I don't really pay that close of attention to her. I heard some news today, though. RGR really came to Vosh expecting him to have her side. She totally did. Absolutely. I was furious at the Doe thing. Everyone was making it seem like Doe was this unreasonable and unstable person. It's not. It's actually really cool. People just, yeah, it's really like the Destiny community that try really hard to make Doe seem like a completely unhinged person when it's actually fine. Like, it's fine. What's up, Jesse? We're talking about Riley Grace Rochong, and we're about to look at the newest information about her. We just caught up on the saga, the lore of what has been going on. It's been a while since she was like relevant within the community of streamers or online news or whatever. So we're going to read this article first that doesn't specifically mention her, but she is on the board that this person is criticizing generally. Okay, so I'm actually going to make sure that I have plenty of water. I might actually refill my water before we get started talking about this to make sure that my voice is going to make it through the segment. Hell yeah. Oh my God, water is so good, y'all. Drink more water. Okay, if you have not yet hit like on the stream, please consider doing that because we're just about to start a little segment here. And that always helps bring a couple more people in. Well, thank you very much. All right. So, back to, this is from LGBTQ Nation, this article, and let's switch over here, I believe. So, LGBTQ rights organization melts down as director resigns and accuses board of white supremacy. Free State Justice, Maryland's major LGBTQ advocacy group, is failing in its mission, according to past employees. This just came out today the 20th. Jeremy Lamaster, the now former executive director of Free State Justice, which is this person pictured here, Maryland's major LGBTQ advocacy group, published an article on his organization's website announcing his resignation and accusing the group's board of directors of furthering, quote, white supremacist culture. a former organizational director called LeMaster's claims 100% false. So this article represents not only LeMaster, who's this is the article we have over here. We'll skim through it in a minute. But it also has a couple of other people's comments in it. So LeMaster accused the 7-member board of repeatedly refusing to carry out its core activities, failing to meet its financial responsibilities, and ignoring the group's dedication to low-income LGBTQ clients. Instead, LeMaster wrote, they have worked to consolidate power and amend the board handbook in secret to lower the minimum number of board members required and ensure that our policy positions prioritize relationships with legislators, not the best interests of our client and community. That's a pretty interesting accusation. Like, they're trying to limit the number of board positions, like the number of board members total, which like increases each individual board member's power. Like, they're a greater percent of the vote on any issues that they choose, that they decide on as a group. Anyway, adding, these are the hallmarks of white supremacist culture: the concentration of power, power hoarding, defensiveness, right to comfort, fear of open conflict, hyper-individualism, and a false sense of urgency. LeMaster said he repeatedly told the board about these concerns to no avail. He also said the board had tried to buy his silence with severance pay upon resigning. Instead, he said he told the board to take on new leaders as a condition of his departure. That was never going to work out, dude. That was definitely never going to work out. What did you think was going to happen with that? I'm sorry, what did you think was going to happen with that? Hold on real quick. Let me move things around a little bit. What did you think was going to happen with that? Cozying up to legislators against the better wishes of their clients. I wonder if she said she'd do that a year ago. Oh, man. Okay, so he says he feels terrified of speaking out against what is now a concentrated small group of white affluent professionals who allegedly threatened legal action against him while using, quote, our clients and our staff as pawns to spurn guilt, holding them hostage to maintain their power, and freezing our organization's activities. Wow. Like, going so far as to freeze the organization's activities. Though he admitted that as executive director, he must take on the sole focus of blame for their poor leadership. He also said that his role has been impossible to perform, considering the board's actions. Former Free State Justice Education and Outreach Director Ezra Halstead called LeMaster's claims 100% false, writing, quote, the reality is that Jeremy has single-handedly destroyed the organization on their own. Wow, that's a pretty strong claim. Pretty strong counterclaim, at least. A resignation letter from March 31 from former Free State Justice Legal Director Charlotte Persephone Hoffman, accusing the organization of having problems with hiring decisions, employee retention, and doing a poor job of providing legal services to the entire LGBTQ community, other than name and gender change cases for transgender individuals. All of these have gained Free State a poor reputation. So that's another former member of the board also criticizing. So here's like Ezra Halstead here disagreeing with LeMaster and saying that it's all their fault, you know. But this other person saying like, no, that is not the case. There have been issues with executive decision making for a while. Free State Justice has a history of paying poorly, treating staff badly, and providing few opportunities for career advancement, continued Charlotte Persephone Hoffman. She also adds, Mr. LeMaster has lost the confidence of the Free State Justice staff. Numerous employees hired over the past 2 years have come to me to express concerns regarding his management, citing concerns from discriminatory pay structures and broken promises about advancement, inappropriate delegation of personal tasks, providing little or no instruction or oversight of delegated tasks, and even inappropriately using the legitimacy of a minority-led organization as a front for grant applications, where the majority of funding would go directly to Free State Justice. So she's critical of the organization in general and of LeMaster. She also wrote, over the past 2 years, it has often felt like Free State Justice's board has become entirely disengaged from the reality of the organization, and they ignore concerns about the organization's management for the past year. She suggested that all members of the board who couldn't promise to be fully engaged should resign immediately. So that's kind of like the long and skinny of it. What is up, Sisukara? How's it going? So let's see if there's anything else in this letter, because this is the letter that was quoted a couple times in there. Let's see. This is very, very tiny. Make it bigger. Is that too big? No, we'll make it bigger. Okay. So on the morning of Jeremy's resignation, is that right, Jeremy? Is that the name? I have a bad memory. Yes, Jeremy. Okay. I requested that the board of directors submit their resignations due to persistent violations of our board handbook, consistent failures in their fiduciary responsibilities, and using positions of power to engage in partisan lobbying within Free State Justice, and their repeated refusal to add new members and leadership to the board. They declined to do so, and it is with heavy heart that I announce my resignation as executive director and make a public call for their resignation instead. For the resignation of Lindsay Young, board president, Riley Rochong, board vice president, Brianna January, board secretary, Lee Carpenter, Brenda Dorsch, Andrew Edelman, and Jess Landers Hopkins, and it provides an email helpfully. Please know that I exhausted every avenue over the past 2 years to get our board fully staffed and running. I made good faith efforts to work with the board to ensure that our clients and low-income queer Marylanders remained at our center. Instead, the board has refused to accept any new board members since 2021 and has refused to staff and run core board activities as per the handbook's indication. Instead, they have worked to consolidate power, amend the board handbook in secret to lower the minimum number of board members required, and ensure that our policy positions prioritize relationships with legislators, not the best interest of our client and community. I have provided clear warnings and consistent concerns over these issues, which were repeatedly ignored. Did Dylan Burns leave, or is this a different board? Dylan Burns probably left the board because he has been in Ukraine doing a documentary, basically. So it wouldn't surprise me if he had resigned from the board, but I also wouldn't be terribly surprised to learn that he may have been privy to some of these things happening. Like, because when he left, like, he would have been on the board in 2021, so maybe he could have been on the board during some of this stuff going on. So, continuing on, Jeremy says these are the hallmarks of white supremacist culture: concentration of power, power hoarding, defensiveness, right to comfort, fear of open conflict, hyper-individualism, false sense of urgency. I encourage our community and our supporters to meaningfully consider how anti-racism can be incorporated into leadership, and this document provides a great template for what this looks like, and that is something I haven't looked at yet. White supremacy culture in organizations. Okay, cool. Thankfully, I'm not alone in bearing witness to the board's abdication of duty and responsibility. I've been working with a journalist and have verified sufficient documentation and corroborating witnesses from within and without of the organization for these complaints. It is my hope that the board will prioritize our staff and community over their own desire for power and pass their leadership on and not allow this story to escalate. This is a lot of public pressure to just, like, please delete, like, you know, please delete yourself from the board. That would be great. There's a strong network of activists, advocates, and supporters which have the capacity, interest, and dedication to fully support the organization in meeting its financial, programmatic, and policy goals. I encourage folks to step forward to ensure that the future can be secured. The clients and community deserve a functioning, ethical, and anti-racist board. Their own desire for power is strong. Like, I mean, it's definitely it's like if I'm going to go down, I'm going to take all you bitches with me is like a little bit of how it comes across. Like, I don't want to be, you know, rude or anything. I'm not going to lie to you all. I'm terrified of speaking out against what is now a concentrated small group of affluent professionals who have foregone any meaningful conversation about board transition or new board leadership. I declined their offers of severance and silence, still insisting on new board leadership as a condition of departure. Instead, they allegedly escalated to threats of legal action. They used our clients and our staff as pawns to spurn guilt, holding them hostage to maintain power and freeing the organization's activities. We have already read some of this stuff. White supremacist culture and practices are not what is in the best interest of the organization, our clients, our community, and of Maryland, and burning through executive directors will not fix the root of the problem. Anti-racist practices must be the center of Free State's future. It's really interesting that this is couched in these terms. I'm going to have to look. This is long. This is like 44 pages long, but dismantling racism works and their sources, a perfectionist culture, worship of the written word, only one right way, either or thinking. It's interesting. I would be curious to read more at some time about why this is being framed specifically as white supremacist culture and not like, I don't know, some other less specific term. Like, is this something that's unique to white supremacist culture is my question, I guess. Like, that would be fascinating to learn. The right to comfort, I do think, is a big part of white supremacist culture. But like some of this shit I could view as being like non-neurodivergent, like non-autistic culture. Like some of the, like the perfectionism, either or thinking, only one right way. Like to me, this almost reads as like an anti-autistic culture. But that would, it's something that I should read more into, I think, before I make a definitive judgment or anything. And I do, yeah, I'm wondering if, like Timorina just said, perhaps the specific claims of white supremacy are kind of a political tool to give this more weight. Like, I worry a little bit that that is the purpose of invoking that phrase, because it makes it like, because the fact that that's what the story is right now, like that it, like Riley Grace Rochong being caught up in an accusation that she participates in a white supremacist culture, like I could just say based on that, like Riley Grace Rochong is racist, and it would technically be true if you're looking at the way that we can use the word racist, you know, it being that it can even address like covert and non-obvious forms of racism. That doesn't mean that they're not racist. I could say that her participation in white supremacist culture makes her racist, you know, and that would be, to me, it would feel disingenuous, but I'm just saying that like, that's what this opens people up to, and that might be on purpose, you know? After reading the letter, I'm pretty convinced that RGR is the main target of his criticism. Okay. I haven't quite finished. Let's finish and stop talking. I am afraid, but we cannot let fear prevent us from serving justice, and the board is not above accountability and certainly not above the law. Whenever I find myself afraid of speaking the truth, I often return to Audre Lorde's Sister Outsider. The essay, Transformation of Silence into Language and Action, resonates. Quote, I have come to believe over and over again that what is most important to me must be spoken, made verbal, and shared, even at the risk of having it bruised and misunderstood. Oh, I like that. I should read Audre Lorde. I have poured sweat and tears and love into Free State to build an amazing team that is doing incredible work. Please do not abandon our staff or clients. Work with them and support them in building a better organization. To my staff, I'm sorry for the harm our board is causing and for my inability to promote their growth and change. That's rough. So, yeah, I don't know if this is going to be specifically... I don't know. I'm interested in reading further into this, but I will look at Gayfesh's thingamabobber first. We have a Twitter thread from Gayfesh. After reading the resignation statement from the Free State Justice Director, I'm becoming increasingly convinced that even though he names the entire board, it's very likely that RGR specifically was the primary target of much of this criticism. Ignoring the actual people they're supposed to be protecting in order to cozy up to legislators is exactly the sort of thing Riley has done in the past. She burned her community to the ground in 2021 for a crumb of destiny clout and hurt the people she was claiming to defend. True. This definitely sounds like something out of her playbook, this part. Offering severance and silence, ignoring the insistence on new board leadership, escalating to threats of legal action, using clients and staff as pawns to spurn guilt, holding them hostage to maintain their power, and freezing the organization's activities. refusing to ever acknowledge guilt and claim that you are doing things for the good of the community to use as a bludgeon for your abusive tendencies. True. That is pretty much what happened. Ooh. A year ago, I got pulled into the drama in a big way when a now former member of the board of Free State Justice went on a full-throated defense of Riley because of this tweet. Note the highlighted section. Does this not sound very, very close to what this board is being accused of? This older tweet from November 2021 says, RGR is literally our enemy. I don't want her doing any advocacy online or in real life. If she gains political relevance, she will literally throw us all under the bus to win normie points with the cis hets. If you were my lawyer, by at the end of the trial, you'd be found guilty. Yeah, was this what Dylan freaked out about? Like, and was like, oh no, she actually is good politically and she does good stuff politically. Okay, yeah. Looks like I was right. I've seen what happens to organizations like this when the board works to consolidate their power and burns through directors. Free State Justice is very likely not long for this world. Who knows how many people would have been helped if Riley hadn't been there. Damn, that's fucking brutal right now. This was the tweet that made him do that stream. Then is that when he went on and streamed like, I will throw literally all of my political clout behind RGR. He was like, I will use all of my political influence in order to protect and support her. Like, holy shit, what a conflict of interest. Like, you should not be in a position of leadership if you're like, I will wield all of my political clout in order to protect this person who like is consistently showing that she like, honestly, like the thing about Riley that bothers me so much is that she like so domineering. Like, she really like insists that she is the only one who could possibly be right, which like she's a fucking Christian, so I don't know why I would be surprised by that. Not saying that all Christians are like that, but like I think it's a big part of why she is the way that she is. Like, I think that she is a puritanical moralist who just happens to also be a transbian who can't help being a degenerate. Like, I think she hates this, that she's a degenerate, so she tries to be as normal as she possibly can. At least that's how she comes across. Yeah, if you're openly that biased, I don't think you can be fully trustworthy. I wonder what, like, what would be happening if Dylan Burns was ever, like, was part of that situation now. Like, how much would he be swinging his, like, you know, his pendulous political balls left and right? Has RGR ever admitted she was wrong? No, of course not. She doesn't think she was wrong. Like, she like shifted the goalposts and like did so many like mental gymnastics that it's impossible to keep up with how ridiculous she was at the time. And so like it seems that she has continued in her desire for political power. Like, she wants to be right. She wants to make decisions. She wants to write law. That's what she wants. Like, ultimately what she's after is power and influence. Unfortunately, I think a lot of people that go into politics want power and influence because it's a very powerful position to be in. I like to imagine that Dylan saw the writing on the wall and went, fuck this, I'm resigning and going someplace safer, like the Ukraine. Oh, cringe. Yeah. She wants to be our savior. I mean, maybe. Yeah, maybe she wants to be the next... Is there like a feminine way to say Jesus Christ? I don't know. Imagine that I made a good joke there about her wanting to be Jesus Christ. But femme mode. Mary, Mother of God, I guess. Yeah, nah, that's not exactly the flavor I'm going for. I just meant like, is there like, you know, if Jesus's name was Daniel, I could say Danielle, you know? Jezebel Christ. I don't want to call her a Jezebel. That would imply a lot of shit that she would accuse me of misogyny and shit over that. Jessica Christ. I'll take Jessica Christ. Jessie Christina. Oh, I like Jessie Christina. That's a good one. Is there a feminine form of the name Joshua? I don't know if there's a feminine form of the name Joshua. Yeah, I can't call her Jezebel. I would be accused of sending people to dogpile her, you know? Don't ever go talk to Riley Grace Rochon after I've made a segment about her, okay? Definitely don't. I mean, you know, if she finds out, she finds out, but don't let it be from one of you, okay? Do really, in Spanish, you have the name Jesusa? Don't ever talk to RGR ever. True. Yes, keep a wide berth. Do it. What's up? I want to shoop. Okay, that was fun. I enjoyed that segment because I like when people's true nature gets revealed, you know? I'm not going to say that this board of director, that this director, Jeremy, was like the best at his job or at their job, but you know, RGR appears to have been worse at her job. Talk to RGR if you want to get pedo-jacketed and have your trauma essentially laughed at and treated like a joke. True. Careful. Like, the normies have started calling me a groomer, so RGR probably thinks that about me too. She must. Because I fully agree with Doe and Vosh about the pedophilia and feet thing. It's just, I think she really just made a very big mistake in making that argument. So anyway, all right. Ooh. I have more notes for what we're going to talk about on stream tonight. Oh my God, excuse me. I burpee. So, I would love to talk about the WPATH guidelines. Oh my God, that sounds so good. I want to take a breather and then get into talking about that because, man, that's such good news. That is such good news. Started with something funny, and then I want to talk about something that's kind of a relief, you know? She just has to win no matter what. That's the problem. Yeah. Oh, cool. They're including detransition care. I hadn't read into this very much. I was thinking this morning about how much I'd love to have your voice. Thank you. It's if you just take testosterone but keep talking like you're a girl, then that'll pretty much do you. That'll pretty much do you. I don't know how a trans woman can accomplish this, though. Probably a similar way. Just like let your voice continue to be deep, but talk like a girl. And then you, too, can have this nasally buzz of very obvious trans voice. What's up, Soy Boy? We are actually just about to probably move into talking about the WPATH guidelines, new trans health guidelines. We were just talking about Riley Grace Rochon, and now we're done doing that. I've had to grow a thick skin to personal attacks, too used to people trying to get under my skin as a way to try to silence me. Yeah, that's really pretty common for a lot of trans people, is like, you just have to grow a really thick skin. Yeah, so let me open this up because I want to look through. What does WPATH even fucking stand for? I forgot. I need to find out so that I can educate you on the segment. Cool. So the WPATH, which is the World Professional Association for Transgender Health, is a nonprofit organization that basically sets the parameters and the rules for how you should handle trans health. Like, they say this amount of time should elapse between, like, them asking for surgery and them getting surgery or whatever. Like, basic shit like that. Like, you must be on hormones for this amount of time before you can whatever. Like, rules kind of like that. I don't know what all of the rules are specifically because I didn't follow the W path when I got hormones and shit originally. I've always done everything informed consent style. But this is like, it informs what doctors are supposed to do so that doctors then have an idea of how to treat transgender patients. And if they follow this guidelines set, then that can prevent them from getting sued for malpractice if they're following the rules. So WPATH was founded in 1979, which is pretty cool. And yeah, they established like new standards of care every so often. If you haven't yet hit like on the stream/video, please consider hitting like on the stream/video. That helps me out a lot. Patreon and donations are also super helpful. Informed consent follows WPATH guidelines, though. I just didn't, I guess, like, I assumed that there were some rules at some point of requiring you to get some amount of therapy before you could get hormones, but maybe I'm just thinking about insurance requirements, because insurance requirements are even more, yeah, I don't know. They're different. Do you watch Callan Conrad? Yeah, I do watch Callan Conrad. I appreciate Callan and all the very, very, very difficult work that they do. So the WPATH released new standards of care, which are used not just by doctors to figure out care, but by lawyers in court. So let's read some of this shit from Aaron in the Morn, who is like way more patient than me in having gotten, because there's like so many pages of this, and we just need to, I just want to know some of the stuff. Some notes though. 1 letter required, down from 2 for surgeries. Does this mean that like even like, is there no such thing as informed consent if I want bottom surgery? Am I gonna have to get at least 1 letter from a fucking person? Like, I've been trans for 13, like I've known that I'm trans for 13 years, and it's just gonna, they're still gonna make me get a goddamn whatever. Explicit allowance of informed consent. Okay, so maybe explicit allowance wasn't there before. No watchful waiting, which is conversion therapy. Like, so it's noteworthy that the WPATH is specifically saying watchful waiting is not recommended. You should not do that. Watchful waiting is basically this idea that if you just let the kid be dysphoric for their entire teenage years, then by the time they're an adult, they will just stop being trans. Like, it's just like hoping that they will stop feeling shit about themselves, I suppose. So one thing that's awesome here is that the recommendation for hormone therapy has been lowered to 14 years of age. I am assuming that it was previously at 16. The call out to rapid onset gender dysphoria is not in this version of WPATH as far as I can tell. A number of TERF adjacent doctors wanted to insert it there. So here's this. Previous guidelines regarding gender-affirming treatment of adolescents recommended partially reversible gender-affirming hormone therapy could be initiated at 16 years of age, but more recent guidelines suggest there may be compelling reason to initiate affirming hormones prior to the age of 16, though there are limited studies on youth who have initiated hormones prior to 14. A compelling reason for earlier initiation might be to avoid prolonged pubertal suppression. Oh, yeah, so there is some concern that if you're on hormone blockers for too long, it could hurt your bones. So if you start cross-sex hormones earlier, then it would prevent those concerns. So, like, yeah, given the potential bone health concerns and the psychosocial implications of delaying puberty, as described in more detail elsewhere. That's pretty cool. What's up, Slaps Hungry Bears? Welcome in. So they do cite the rapid onset gender dysphoria study, but pretty much just smack it down, really. One researcher attempted to study and describe a specific form of later presenting gender diversity experience. That's the citation. However, the findings of the study must be considered within the context of significant methodological challenges, including that 1, the study surveyed parents and not youth perspectives, and 2, recruitment included parents from community settings in which treatments for gender dysphoria are viewed with skepticism and are criticized. However, these findings have not been replicated. Yeah, they've not been replicated. Yeah, I'm so glad that they called that out. They're like, because the idea of rapid onset gender dysphoria was this, you know, parents of older teens or even young adults, like 20-year-olds, 23-year-olds, were like, my child just spontaneously came out as trans and decided to cut off their breasts and stuff, like, and it was just really cringe, and they just assumed that it was some kind of social contagion because queer people tend to want to be friends, basically, like TLDR. There are new longitudinal studies appearing in WPATH, and these 2 paragraphs right here will provide a lot of support for many court cases in the US. Ooh, this is exciting. Longitudinal studies, evaluating participants at different stages of gender-affirming treatments. Some participants may not have started medical treatment yet. Some have been treated with puberty suppression, and others had started affirming hormones or even done surgery. Given the heterogeneity of treatments and methods, this type of design makes interpreting outcomes more challenging. Nonetheless, when compared with baseline assessments, the data consistently demonstrate improved or stable psychological functioning, body image, and treatment satisfaction varying from 3 months up to 2 years from the initiation of treatment. So this study went on for about 2 years, studying like how are people's internal wellness and stuff going while, like, and starting at various stages. So like any trans person at any stage of transition, whether they were early on, whether they had so far as gotten surgery within that 2 year period of time, or 3 months to 2 years period, consistently data demonstrates improved or stable psychological functioning, body image, and treatment satisfaction. So people are basically down with their periods. It's not what I was trying to say. My words just fucked up in my mouth, and I'm not going to try to fix it. How dare queer people be friends with each other? True. To conclude, although the existing samples reported on relatively small groups of youth, and the time to follow up varied across studies from 6 months to 7 years. 7 years is a good follow-up period for a study like this. This emerging evidence base indicates a general improvement in the lives of transgender adolescents who, following careful assessment, receive medically necessary gender-affirming medical treatment. Further, rates of reported regret during the study monitoring periods are low. Taken as a whole, the data show early medical intervention as part of a broader combined assessment and treatment approaches focused on gender dysphoria and general well-being can be effective and helpful for many transgender adolescents seeking those treatments. Hell yeah, dude. Could have fucking told you that shit. Amazing. I'm glad to have the validation through studies, though, and not just like me knowing a lot of trans people. For adults, the 1 year waiting period for surgeries has been lowered to 6 months. This indication is also removed for non-binary patients who decline HRT. Oh, we suggest healthcare professionals assessing transgender and gender diverse people seeking gonadectomy consider a minimum of 6 months of hormone therapy as appropriate to the transgender person's gender goals before the trans person undergoes irreversible surgical intervention, unless hormones are not clinically indicated for the individual. Because sometimes you physically can't take hormones without increasing your risk of something else. But this is cool. Does this cover the non-binary thing? The Endocrine Society Clinical Practice Guidelines advise a period of consistent hormone treatment prior to genital surgery. While there was limited supportive research, this recommendation was considered to be a good clinical practice as it allows a more reversible experience prior to the irreversible experience of surgery. I mean, that kind of makes sense. They're basically saying, like, before you dive all the way into getting surgery, like, you might want to try something that is going to bring you into that same type of congruence of gender, but like is less like irreversible, I guess. I mean, I kind of get it. For example, there can be changes in sexual desire after genital surgery that removes the testicles. In this context, reversible testosterone suppression can offer a trans person a period of time to experience the absence of testosterone and decide if this feels right. Like, right. Yeah, that makes sense. Does she go into any further detail about the another indication that WPATH guidelines are good is the reaction from GC TERF right-wing transmet adjacent side. So she didn't have a link or a screenshot here specifically of the I can't go through the whole thing myself with the time that I have right now to find all the stuff, but it's cool that she's claiming the indication is removed for non-binary patients who decline HRT. because it just means that like you don't have to do testosterone in order to get a hysterectomy, or like you don't have to do testosterone in order to get top surgery, which you already don't necessarily need for top surgery. But yeah, so here, let's see. Standards of care. It is one of the most shocking indictments of ideology infecting medicine that I have ever come across, says this weird person. If Mermaids is not a medical organization, as heard in court this week from its chair, why is CEO Susie Green a co-author on latest international standards of care for trans health? She could serve on two different... she could serve two different... Is she doing that co-authoring in her capacity as CEO of Mermaids, or does she just have like multiple things going on in her life? Anyway, this is WPATH 8 suggesting amputation of the penis and removal of testicles as part of vaginoplasty for boys as young as 13. Does it actually say that? Or is this sensationalism? Not only are they doing this to young people, they want to go much, much younger. It seems that the people that drafted this document at WPATH are the ones who need psychological help first. Mutilating children certainly cannot be the answer to a hopefully happy adult life. There are way too many detransitioners to keep going on this path. So yeah, Erin is also just saying, like, if it tells you anything about, like, what... Oh my god, I want to look at the whole thing. If this tells you anything about how good these changes are for trans people, just take a look at how fucking pissed off the TERFs and transphobes are. They're very upset. So, yeah, this is 206 pages long, y'all. But I do want to look at some specific things. Whoop, camera's out. Hold on. She's back? Are we back? Okay. Sorry about that, everybody. No big deal. I'm just looking at the table of contents right now. I kind of want to look at children and non-binary. I think those are the two chapters that I want to look at. And also intersex, maybe. Where someone said that detransition was mentioned in here. Is there... I'm not seeing it in any of the chapter titles here. But I would be curious if there is a section of eunuchs. Yeah. I'm not sure. There should be. It may not be a chapter. Yeah. What chapter would it be under, do you think? If you all can read this. I love the changes, but when I go to find out more info, I get swarmed with fear-mongering articles, swings, and roundabouts. I mean, that's a good reason for us to publish this video as a segment on the channel. I should probably do that with this video tomorrow. Are you able to Alt F4 and find the phrase? I mean... Maybe. Detransition. It's in here a number of times. It's in here 36 times. Why is that so tiny? Statements of recommendations. Okay, here we go. So I do basically like, I want to look here at the detransition segment, and I want to look at the section on children because they've changed some of those guidelines and I'm curious what they've specifically said there. And I also want to look at the non-binary section. So we'll end on that. Recommending healthcare professionals assessing adults who wish to detransition and seek gender-related hormone intervention, surgical intervention, or both, utilize a comprehensive multidisciplinary assessment that will include additional viewpoints from experienced healthcare professionals in transgender health and that considers, together with the individual, the role of social transition as part of the assessment process. Many trans adults may consider a range of identities and elements of gender presentation while exploring their gender and considering transition options. Accordingly, some may spend some time in a gender identity or presentation before they discover it does not work, and then later they want to change it. Some may experience a change in identity over time. Healthy and reasonable process for determining the most comfortable and congruent way of living, which is informed by the person's gender and the context of their life. This process of identity exploration should not necessarily be equated with regret, confusion, or poor decision-making. That's cool, because a trans adult's gender identity may change without devaluing previous transition decisions. Damn! Hot fucking damn! Holy shit. That feels good to read. I like that. I like that. I know that's a difficulty that a lot of detransitioners have, where they're like, I am, you know, there's no way for me to narrativize this without being like upset and feel regretful, and people are telling me that I'm all mutilated and shit. So that's cool. They refer to it as they were also refer to retransition as another way of framing it. That's cool too. I like that. Let's see. Any other changes in their identity? While this exploration continues, gender-affirming treatments that are irreversible should be avoided until clarity about long-term goals and outcomes is achieved. Fair enough. The decision to detransition appears to be rare, according to multiple studies. Estimates of the number of people who detransition due to a change in identity are likely to be overinflated due to research blending different cohorts. For example, detransition research cohorts often include trans adults who chose to detransition because of a change in their identity, as well as trans adults who chose to detransition without a change in identity, meaning that they detransitioned because of a lack of social support. What little research has been conducted to systematically examine variables that correlate with a trans adult's decision to halt a transition process or to detransition, a recent study found the vast majority of trans people who opted to detransition did so due to external factors, such as stigma and lack of social support, and not because of changes in gender identity. There you go. They may choose to detransition because of oppression, violence, and social relational conflict, surgical complications, health concerns, physical contraindications, a lack of resources, or dissatisfaction with results. In such cases, mental health professionals are well placed to assist the trans person with these challenges. Cool, 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 cool. Just like on Wikipedia, right? Yeah. It's disproportionately rare decision. The absolute numbers of detransitioners may increase. The percentage of people seeking to halt or reverse permanent changes should remain static and low. Expected to remain static and low, which makes perfect sense. Let's see if there's anything else specifically interesting on this section. That's just like, that's cool. You know, it's validation of detransitioning. It is vital that people who detransition for any reason be supported. It should be remembered, however, this is a rare occurrence, and this literature shows consistently positive outcomes for the vast majority of trans adults who transition to a gender that is comfortable for them, including those who receive gender-affirming... What is GAMSTs? Gender-affirming... I don't know. I'm assuming that means surgery. I don't know what that means. GAMST. All your best guesses... for what GAMST mean. I know a lot of detrans people who don't regret their transition. Yeah. I'm assuming it means surgery. Yeah. Okay, so that'll lead us directly into adolescence. That's cool. That previous chapter was just going to lead us right into talking about adolescence, which is the next subject I wanted to look at here. Let's see. Or no, adolescence is not what I want to look at. What I want to look at is children. I want to know... Although I guess this part does help in determining the age stuff. One of the key challenges is looking at the quality of evidence, evaluating the effectiveness of medically necessary gender-affirming medical care. Oh, here, it stands for Gender-Affirming Medical and Surgical Treatments, GAMSTs. Okay. As of this chapter's writing, there were several longer-term longitudinal cohort follow-up studies reporting positive results of early, i.e. adolescent, medical treatment. For a significant period of time, many of these studies were conducted through one Dutch clinic. The findings demonstrated the resolution of gender dysphoria is associated with improved psychological functioning and body image satisfaction. There you go. Like, that's pretty much what I expected to find. So... let's see. Different studies evaluated individual aspects or combinations of treatment interventions and included gender-affirming hormones and surgeries, puberty suppression, and puberty suppression affirming hormones and surgeries. Oh, so it's like all these different studies looked at these different things. The 2014 long-term follow-up study is the only study that followed youth from early adolescence from pre-treatment around the age of 13 through young adulthood through to the age of like 20 years old. This was the first study to show gender-affirming treatment enabled transgender adolescents to make age-appropriate developmental transitions while living as their affirmed gender with satisfactory objective and subjective outcomes in adulthood. There you fucking go. There you fucking go. That's awesome. It was a relatively small, select, and socially supported sample, but the results were quite convincing. Yeah, given that we know that it's lack of social support that often makes people detransition, like having a socially supported sample means that you'll likely have like basically across the board positive results. There's so much to get through. Okay. Let's see. Cross-sectional studies provide another design for evaluating the effects of gender-affirming treatments. One such study compared psychological functioning in trans adolescents at baseline and while undergoing puberty suppression compared to that of cisgender high school peers at 2 different time points. At baseline, the trans youth demonstrated lower psychological functioning compared with cis peers, whereas when undergoing puberty suppression, they demonstrated better functioning than their peers. That's interesting. This study demonstrated that transgender males who started testosterone had lower internalizing mental health symptoms such as depression and anxiety compared with those who had not started testosterone treatment. That's cool. All right. Basically, like a lot of positive results. This is just basically like breaking down, like, here's many examples of concluding, although the existing samples reported on relatively small groups of youth and the time to follow up varied across studies from 6 months to 7 years, this emerging evidence base indicates a general improvement in the lives of transgender adolescents who, following careful assessment, receive medically necessary gender-affirming medical treatment. Further, rates of reported regret during the study monitoring periods are low. Taken as a whole, the data show early medical intervention as part of a broader combined assessment and treatment approaches focused on gender dysphoria. Come on, girl. My camera is just blanking out again. Can be effective and helpful for many transgender adolescents seeking those treatments. Okay. She tried to come back on and then she failed again. Let's try to just turn her off. Okay. Good night. Good night. Good night. And then we'll try one more time. There we go. Okay. Okay. There we go. So then we have a section on ethical and human rights perspectives. Girl, did you just immediately turn off again? Good night, machine. Yeah. Why are you doing this to me? There's really no good reason for you to be doing this to me. Hello? 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 Will you look at me with your eyeball? Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, really? Wow, this is crazy. Hold on. The whole stream is going to have to come to a grinding fucking halt over this. Why are you doing this to me? Okay, hold on. We're having some tech issues. We're having some technological snafus. Hopefully I can get it to come back. Otherwise, we're doing the rest of this stream with no face cam. Hey, if you haven't yet hit like on the stream, take a second to hit like on the stream, please. If you have a spare $5, consider doing a website subscription or a $5 dono, because I am about to move out of living with my partner and I need all the money I can get. Okay, let's try to turn this back on now. Okay, let's see. Show us the dragon, HBO. I know. Side note, to answer Andy's question, puberty was somewhat distressing for me, especially the widening of hips and development of breasts. Will the tea help with reorganizing that fat? Yeah, so testosterone and estrogen both affect the placement of fat on your body to an extent. Some people, it doesn't move all of it, you know, which is why we have the existence of like trans women who get Brazilian butt lifts, even if they've already been on hormones for a while, because not all of the fat has migrated from their belly to their hips. So yeah, help your local dragon streamer with finding a new layer. Absolutely. I should just start the fucking GoFundMe. Like, I should just start the GoFundMe right now and start posting it in chat. That's what I should start doing. But I am a huge bitch, so I'm not going to do it until tomorrow after I talk to my therapist. But yeah, so tea kind of makes your boobs like just deflate entirely, in the sense like, you know, when you like have your normal hormonal cycle, there's times when they're bigger than other times. It's like the smallest version of your boobs when you're on tea. And then yes, over about like 3 to 5 years, like it starts to happen for me around the 2-year mark when I'm on hormones, that like I start to notice that my hips are looking really bony because all of the fat around my hips is like disintegrating and it's not good. So yeah, I mean, like, I say, when I say it's not good, I don't like it. It makes me dysphoric. Like, I'm non-binary, so my dysphorias are weird. I like having a feminine shape and softness to my body personally. So anyway, I want to look down here and keep finding out about the adolescents. I mostly just want to figure out what their specific guidelines are for age restrictions and stuff. If we can find any more detail, because like people are saying like they're recommending we do surgeries on kids at like as young as 13, and it's like I don't really think that that's what they're advocating. They might say like children as young as 13 should be able to receive gender affirming medical interventions and surgical treatment, but they, you know, they're not necessarily advocating specifically that children that young should be given the full 9 yards, because they still indicate in other parts of this that they think that an adult even should be on hormones for a while first to see what it's like to not have those parts or whatever, right? Like, so obviously the restrictions for children are not going to be significantly looser than that or whatever. They're still going to want you to try something reversible before you try something irreversible. That was already established when we were reading before. I'm just kind of scrolling through to see if there's any more specific info here. Because otherwise... Oh, I bet this is something that the TERFs are going to freak the fuck out about. Oh, this is a good one. I bet they're going to hate this. Hit like on the stream if you think that the TERFs are going to hate this. We suggest healthcare professionals provide transgender and gender diverse adolescents with health education on chest binding and genital tucking, including review of the benefits and risks. Trans youth may experience distress related to chest and genital anatomy. Chest binding, chest padding, genital tucking, and genital packing are reversible non-medical interventions that may help alleviate this distress. Thank you so much, Slaps Hungry Bears, with the tier 2 sub. That's really kind of you. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. That is like unironically gonna help me find a new place to live. So thank you. Here we go. So chest binding involves compression of the breast tissue to create a flatter appearance of the chest. TERFs bitch about this so much. So much. They complain about it so much. They go like, oh no, these girls are hurting their rib cages by binding their chests. Like, oh my God. But here we have like some info about it, right? So binding methods may include use of commercial binders, sports bras, layering of shirts, layering of sports bras, or use of elastics or other bandages. Currently, most youth report learning about binding practices from online communities composed of peers. Providers can play an important role in ensuring youth receive accurate and reliable information about potential benefits and risks of chest binding. Talking about safe binding practices, monitor them for negative health effects. There are potential negative physical impacts. Youth who bind report many benefits, including increased comfort, improved safety, and lower rates of misgendering, which is considered clinically significant here, and I very much appreciate the WPATH for that. Common negative health impacts of chest binding can include chest pain and back pain, shortness of breath, and overheating. The more serious negative health impacts such as skin infections, respiratory infections, and rib fractures are uncommon and have been associated with chest binding in adults rather than adolescents. They're going to hate that. Methods that are considered unsafe for binding include the use of duct tape, ACE wraps, and plastic wrap, as these can restrict blood flow, damage skin, and restrict breathing. That's awesome. That's just like, I mean, I've known that for years and everything. TERF, I must be able to see adolescent breasts. They care so much about the lesbians having access to those breasts when those ripe, pert teenagers come of age. You know, that's what they're really concerned about. Genital tucking is the practice of positioning the penis and testes to reduce the outward appearance of a genital bulge. They really hate this too. I don't really understand why they hate tucking so much. I think it's because it takes away all of their power to tell whether someone has a penis or not. Like, because tucking is just so effective at making your junk look flat. So, yeah. And we watched that video with the drag queen recently. So the whole premise is that, like, the testicles go up into the inguinal canals, and then you pull the genitals back and, like, tape everything down, and that holds everything in place, you know? And they just fucking hate that so much. Let's see. Limited studies are available on the specific risks and benefits of tucking in adults, and none have been carried out in youth. Previous studies have reported tight undergarments are associated with decreased sperm concentration and motility. In addition, elevated scrotal temperatures can be associated with poor sperm characteristics, and genital tucking could theoretically affect spermatogenesis and fertility, although there are no definitive studies evaluating these adverse outcomes. Further research would be needed to determine the specific benefits of tucking in youth. Cool. That was fun. I like that they had a segment about tucking and binding, because it is relevant medical care. Wow, it just honestly feels really affirming to have it validated that way. So, let's move on to children. That was the adolescence portion. Let's scooch down to children and see what they have to say about that. And then, like I said, the last section we'll cover today will be the non-binary section. So let's, oh my God, this is long. Oh wait, here we are. Is this it? Yeah, okay, chapter 7, children. I just blew right past it. M, thank you, M, for your $1 contribution, or no, the $3 contribution for hidden vids. I am considering deleting that function on the channel, but I appreciate your assistance anyway. So let's see. Children. These standards of care pertain to prepubescent gender diverse children. These are based on research, ethical principles, and accumulated expert knowledge. Principles underlying these standards include the following. 1, that childhood gender diversity is an expected aspect of general human development. That 2, child gender diversity is not a pathology or mental health disorder. 3, diverse gender expressions in children cannot always be assumed to reflect a transgender identity or gender incongruence. Totally fair. 4, guidance from mental health professionals with expertise in gender care for all children can be helpful in supporting positive adaptation as well as discernment of gender-related needs over time. 5, conversion therapies for gender diversity in children, i.e. any therapeutic attempt to compel a gender-diverse child through words, actions, or both to identify with or behave in accordance with the gender associated with the sex assigned at birth, are harmful, and we repudiate their use. Damn, that feels good. Damn, okay. That was good. Hit like on the stream if you liked that moment. That felt good to say. So, unlike pubescent youth and adults, prepubescent gender diverse children are not eligible to access medical intervention. So they become adolescent and start having the medical stuff applied to them at the onset of puberty, basically. Therefore, when professional input is sought, it is most likely to be from a healthcare professional specialized in psychosocial supports and gender development. So this is focused on psychosocial practices. Okay, so maybe we don't even need to look at this section, because it has explicitly stated that this section is not going to talk about medical intervention, because prepubescent youths are not eligible for medical intervention because they don't need any. Like, they don't need medical intervention because they haven't had any of the effects of puberty developing yet. So that's very cool. I appreciate that. Oh, holy shit, there's 69 likes on the stream right now. I would hate to break that, but if you wanted to go break in my heart and take it up to 70, damn. Oh, you did it. Okay, all right, it's already done. So cool. Yeah, I don't think I really feel the need to read any more of this section, because the concern that I had with it was just the oh boy, was just the specific medical transition aspects of it. So here we go. Non-binary. This is an umbrella term referring to individuals who experience their gender as being outside of the binary. This term is predominantly but not exclusively associated with global North contexts and may sometimes be used to describe indigenous and non-Western genders. This includes people whose genders are comprised of more than one gender identity simultaneously or at different times, such as bigender. Those who do not have a gender identity or have a neutral gender identity, such as agender or neutrois. Those who have gender identities that encompass or blend elements of other genders, such as polygender, demi-boy, demi-girl, and or who have a gender that changes over time, such as a gender-fluid person. Non-binary people may identify to varying degrees with binary-associated genders, such as a non-binary man or woman, or with multiple gender terms, such as non-binary and gender-fluid. Damn, this is so thorough. Yeah, like, absolutely. This is, man, I mean, it's just based on observation, right? Like, it's not like this is anything you wouldn't have known if you were paying attention, right? But yeah, anyway, so genderqueer, first used in the 1990s, is an identity category somewhat older than non-binary, which had first emerged in the late 2000s. Genderqueer may sometimes be used synonymously with non-binary or may communicate a specific consciously politicized dimension to a person's gender. Cool. Okay, so this is just showing like a pretty significant demonstration of understanding here. Oh, damn, this is cool. Recent studies suggest non-binary people comprise roughly 25 to over 50% of the larger transgender population, with samples of youth reporting the highest percentage of non-binary people. That's cool. That's really cool. Okay. So I want to like find some of the parts here where they're talking about, okay, so we're talking about medical care now. The need for access to gender-affirming care. Some non-binary people seek gender-affirming care to alleviate gender dysphoria or incongruence and to increase body satisfaction through medically necessary interventions. Some non-binary people may feel a certain treatment is necessary for them. Whoa, shit, did not mean to click. No, go back. Go back. No. Okay. Okay. Get back to the page. Okay, I clicked something by accident, and now here we are. Some non-binary people feel medical necessary, blah, 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 whilst others do not. And the proportion of non-binary people who seek gender-affirming care and the specific goals of that care remains unclear. Okay. It's the role of healthcare professionals to provide information about existing medical options that may help alleviate gender dysphoria, which may best fit for each individual person. Cool. Motivations for accessing or not accessing medical interventions, including hormones, surgeries, or both, are heterogeneous and potentially complex and should be explored collaboratively before making decisions about physical interventions. That's fair enough, yeah. For example, some transgender women have no need of vaginoplasty, while some non-binary individuals who are assigned male at birth may need and benefit from that same intervention. Yeah, so that was cool. I skipped a sentence. The need of an individual to access gender-affirming care and procedures cannot be predicted by their gender role, expression, or identity. Cool. Okay, let's see. I'm skimming through the need for an appropriate level of support. Oh my gosh, hold on. Good. Okay, good. That felt good. All right, there was another one. That was all good too. Okay, cool. Let's see. Ooh, okay, here's an interesting section. Gender-affirming medical interventions for non-binary people. In contexts where a particular medical intervention does not have established precedent, it is important that before the intervention is considered, the individual is provided with an overview of the available information. So yeah, with regards to estrogen therapy for non-binary people who are assigned male, it's important to note that the possibility of breast growth cannot be avoided. Although the extent is highly variable, this should be made clear if a non-binary person seeks some of the other changes associated with estrogen, but does not want or is ambivalent about breast growth. Similarly, for non-binary people assigned female who may access testosterone, who want some changes but not others, it should be recognized that if facial hair development is needed, genital growth is inevitable. That's so good. Okay, statements of recommendations now. Recommending that healthcare professionals provide non-binary people with individualized assessment and treatment that affirms their non-binary experiences of gender. Healthcare professionals should avoid making a priori assumptions about any client's gender identity, expression, or needs for care. Also be mindful that clients' non-binary experience of gender may or may not be relevant to the assessment and treatment-related goals. Oh, man. I'm just trying not to... I'm like, there's so much good stuff in here. I have to, like, be selective with what I spend my time talking about, because we've been on this segment for a while. Da-da-da-da-da-da. We recommend healthcare professionals consider medical interventions for non-binary people in the absence of social gender transition. That's pretty big. Okay. We recommend healthcare professionals consider gender-affirming surgical interventions in the absence of hormonal treatment unless hormone therapy is required to achieve the desired surgical result. This is the one section that I was really excited to look at. Definitely really excited to look at. The trajectory of hormones before surgery is an option across a range of surgical interventions. Some non-binary people will seek gender-affirming surgical treatment to alleviate incongruence and increase body satisfaction, but do not want hormonal treatment or are unable to undergo hormone therapy for other medical reasons. Currently, it's unknown for which proportion of non-binary people these options apply. If the surgery has some specific association with non-binary people, hold on. The surgery which has some specific association with non-binary people is mastectomy in non-binary people who have not taken testosterone, although testosterone is not a requirement for this type of surgery, and some non-binary people who are assigned female may need breast reduction. As an example of a surgery for which at least a period of hormone therapy may be necessary is metoidioplasty, which enhances the enlarged clitoris produced by testosterone therapy. Yeah, like that's literally the only like reason that you would absolutely need to be on hormones before a surgery is if like your metoidioplasty shit would be way too small, you know? Surgery and postoperative care. Check this, for more detail on whether hormone therapy is necessary for various surgeries. I hope that it's not. Oh shit. 4 gifted tier 1 subs. Holy shit. Thank you, Slaps Hungry Bears. I appreciate that. Wow. Adding that to the thing. Adding it to the thing. We are just about a quarter of our goal for the month, which is pretty cool. Thank you very much. Very appreciate. Very, very good. Yes. Okay, so where was I? Yeah, I might have to check chapter 13 if it doesn't specify here, if whether hormone therapy is considered necessary before phalloplasty. Although I have done at least 6 months of hormone therapy, so maybe I've already passed that hurdle because I've done like 4 years of hormone therapy actually. Procedures addressing the internal reproductive system include hysterectomy, unilateral or bilateral salpingo-oophorectomy, and vaginectomy. Hormone therapy is not required for any of these procedures, but hormone replacement therapy is advisable in those individuals undergoing a total gonadectomy. Yeah, because you need to have hormones. Oh, here we go. For phalloplasty, while there is no surgical requirement per se for a minimum period of testosterone treatment, virilization or the absence of virilization of the clitoris and labia minora may impact the choice of surgical technique and influence surgical options. Okay, that's interesting. What does virilization mean? Hold on, I have to Google that. Define virilization. The development of male characteristics. Okay. Okay, so the testosteronization or lack thereof of the clitoris and labia minora may impact the choice of surgical technique and influence surgical options for phalloplasty. Okay, cool. That's cool. That's pretty cool. I'm like just reading through if there's anything else very particularly interesting in here. Ooh, here, cool. Additional surgical requests for non-binary people assigned male include penile-preserving vaginoplasty with preservation of the testicles, and procedures resulting in an absence of external primary sexual characteristics, such as penectomy, scrotectomy, orchiectomy, etc. The surgeon and individual seeking treatment are advised to engage in discussions so as to understand the individual's goals and expectations, as well as the benefits and limitations of the intended procedure, to make decisions on an individualized basis and collaborate with other healthcare providers who are involved. That's cool. I'm so glad that they would make it. I wouldn't think phallo would be possible without or a little t. So 2 different surgical procedures for bottom surgery for trans men and other non-binary people assigned female. Metoidioplasty is the one that uses the clitoris to make the penis, like the actual growth. So they tend to be small. Like the effect that you get is like it's literally a micropenis. Phalloplasty is a skin graft from somewhere else. So like when I get mine done, it's going to be a skin graft from my arm. And there is like a nerve hookup, but that's it, you know? As far as like you don't actually have to change, like it just doesn't affect anything. Like the testosterone doesn't affect strictly the phalloplasty itself. So I don't know if that makes sense in particular, but recommending healthcare professionals provide information about the effects on future fertility. Of course. Yeah, of course. Talk about futility. Okay, here's a section on eunuchs. Okay, that was basically everything that I wanted to look at about this. There is so much to go through. It's 260 pages long. I'm not going to be able to go through it. I've been talking for so long that my throat hurts a little bit. So we'll get off of this. That's the lowdown on the WPATH changes. They have changed some of the age restrictions. Who is actually going to be following these standards? Any doctor who currently follows WPATH standards is going to use this official guidance. Like when your doctor is a chucklefuck who has never treated a transgender patient before, when they go to find out how to treat trans people, they go here. Like this is the standard of care. And it's not only what the doctors use to help determine what is appropriate for you transition wise, like what is appropriate for you age wise. This is also what is used by lawyers who litigate these cases. It's published by the World Professional Associated for Transgender Health, which is WPATH. But yeah, so if there is ever a lawsuit, like if the mom is affirming of the kid, but the dad isn't, if the dad decides to sue the hospital for giving their kid hormones, then the lawyers will say this was medically indicated. You know, here's the WPATH guidelines. This is what has been like, I believe that this is international. I don't think that this is just based in the United States. Yeah, it's the World Professional Association. So like, this is like, this is what the entire world should be following as far as standards of care for trans people. This is what is recommended, and many countries use this as their like essentially the legal document by which they determine what things are acceptable and not acceptable. So yeah, hopefully that helped give you some ideas about some of the like positive directions that these changes are going toward. Reportedly, a lot of the reason why they changed the age ranges for teenagers was so to try to help like prevent doctors from being sued for trying to keep the teenagers on track with their peers. Spider with a tier 2 sub, thank you. Yes, enjoy your dicks. Absolutely. There you go. We got another dono. Damn, you all are like killing it tonight with the donos. Now we're over the 1/4 mark. Hell yeah. Are tucking and binding the universal standard of care, or does the individual get to decide if that applies to them or not? Mountains of the Moon, it's basically just like, the reason that they have that in there is because some people try to say like tucking is dangerous, and they're saying like, if you want to reduce your dysphoria, you can tuck. We don't necessarily understand all of the potential negative effects of that. There are some that there could be, but it doesn't seem to be like, it doesn't seem to cause cancer or anything, you know? So, it's like, it's like can be recommended if the person needs that kind of management of their care. Does that make any sense? Like, it's not saying that like binding is the thing that's like that the doctor is going to prescribe and you don't have any choice but to bind your chest. You know, like you could bind, you could just wear sports bras, you could get top surgery, you know, like there are a number of different ways of addressing that form of dysphoria. All of that is genuinely so cool. It feels so affirming to know that these are the changes that are happening. Yeah, trying dark green this month. I definitely think that it is a positive step. Holy shit, Athiet got a tier 2 sub. They said, oh, hey, can contribute some extra this month. Thank you. Thank you so much. I think you're still a patron. I appreciate that. The double dip anyway. Thank you. Another tier 2 sub. 267. Hell fucking yeah. It's a good night to stream. Like, it always feels good to be, like, pat on the head rewarded with donos. Sometimes that is a little bit what it feels like. Like, I'm good. Pat. Not a bad thing. Tucking is not known to the state of California to cause cancer. Exactly. Yeah, She Who Knows No Name, you put it really well. The idea with the tucking and binding is almost you're gonna do it, it's not gonna kill you, so here's how to not fuck it up really bad. Yes, like binding can be medically recommended to help with dysphoria. However, binding with an ACE bandage is not medically recommended because the risk of injury is so great that it may outweigh the risk or the benefit that you're getting from having your dysphoria alleviated by binding with an ACE bandage. You know, don't bind with duct tape. I didn't see them mention trans tape or KT tape in the binding section. Let me look at that again. Binding, because that is something that I'm curious about. If binding is employed, youth should be advised to use only those methods considered safe for binding, such as binders specifically designed for the gender-diverse population. Methods that are considered unsafe for binding include duct tape, ACE wraps, and plastic wrap. So this doesn't mention athletic tape, but I'm kind of assuming that that's like gonna fall under the duct tape in terms of like could potentially damage your skin. Yeah, I'm wondering about the trans tape thing, but it's not mentioned here. But yeah, I personally consider athletic tape to be a pretty dangerous thing to do. Holy shit, Slaps Hungry Bears, are you for real about this? My partner wanted in on the dono spree too, with another gifted 4 tier 1 subs. Holy shit. Thank you. Yes, we are doing the Mayo side today. Mayo side on the Luxander.net. Yeah. Okay, that's another. So 287. Hot diggity dog. I'm unworthy, but thank you. Yeah, trans men, absolutely Mountains of the Moon. Trans men can still have boobs and not bind, and that'd be fine. I personally am a trans masculine person who doesn't bind and doesn't want top surgery, and I am still like, that doesn't make me a woman just because I have boobs and I plan on keeping them, you know? No, I'm Grink. You don't like being Grink? No. Well, then you'll just have to do an even bigger dono to make yourself blue or purple. I guess. Trans tape can damage your skin a bit. It shouldn't if you take rest days, apply properly, and remove it with oil, but maybe that's why. It takes a lot of extra management to use athletic tape to bind and do it safely. Like, once you put it on, it's kind of stuck in place, and you might want to leave it there for a couple days because it's easier to take off after a couple days. So yeah, there's just difficult, and like, yeah, it can literally just peel your skin off, which is not something you want to deal with. Yes, so this does cover like a hugely diverse range of things. And basically this just constantly encourages, the WPATH guidelines currently just constantly encourage, like, you should talk to your fucking patient and listen to what they say, and then like help them achieve their goals safely. Like, basically, fundamentally, I think fundamentally the sort of ideology underlying this is like informed consent. Like, we recommend certain amount of waiting periods for just like, yeah, before you go chopping your testicles off, maybe you should try a testosterone blocker to see what it's like to live with no testosterone in your body, right? Like, I kind of get that. Yeah. Crossing out the dicks. But other than that, like this whole thing is just like patient-directed care, informed consent. Binding sounds like such a pain in the ass. Yeah, it's not the same as wearing a bra, but it's definitely not necessarily the most pleasant, which is why I won't do it. Totes worthy for the subs, donos, and Patreon shit. Thank you. I appreciate. I work relatively hard to make sure I bring you the news, so it definitely feel good to feel like you're doing something useful. Chopping the dicks, true. Does this mention therapy? So, yeah, we can, let's see, way back at the top here. Is there a chapter specifically about therapy? Because it did mention therapy in one of the sections that we were looking at where it says, watch and wait therapy is emphatically not recommended. Like, it's not recommended at all. I don't think that there is so there is the chapter on mental health. It's the last chapter. So there is a chapter on mental health in here, since we had some curiosity from Dwoozle. Oops, I accidentally typed in the thingy. So this chapter is not meant to be a substitute for chapters on the assessment or evaluation of people for hormonal or surgical interventions. Many trans people will not require therapy or other forms of mental health care as part of their transition, while others may benefit from the support of mental health providers and systems. Some studies have shown a higher prevalence of depression, anxiety, and suicidality among trans people than in the general population, particularly in those requiring medically necessary gender-affirming medical treatment. However, trans identity is not a mental illness, and these elevated rates have been linked to complex trauma, societal stigma, violence, and discrimination. In addition, psychiatric symptoms lessen with appropriate gender-affirming medical and surgical care, and with interventions that lessen discriminatory and minority stress. So that's basically like the introduction to this section on mental health treatment. We recommend that mental health professionals address mental health symptoms that interfere with a person's capacity to consent to gender-affirming treatment before gender-affirming treatment is initiated. So there are some kind of mental health disorders that would be considered like a barrier to a person's ability to do informed consent. So you would need to, for example, treat underlying psychosis before moving forward with gender treatment, I guess. Also recommend mental health professionals offer care and support to trans and gender diverse people to address mental health symptoms that interfere with a person's capacity to participate in essential perioperative care before gender affirming therapy. The inability to adequately participate in perioperative care due to mental illness or substance use should not be viewed as an obstacle to needed transition care, but should be seen as an indication that mental health care and social support need to be provided. When mental health symptoms or substance abuse exists, mental health professionals assess the potential negative impact mental health symptoms may have on outcomes based on the nature of the specific gender-affirming surgical procedure. Yeah. Recommending healthcare professionals counsel and assist trans and gender diverse people in becoming abstinent from tobacco nicotine prior to gender-affirming surgery, because using tobacco can fuck up your surgical results, which you don't want. You don't want that. Yep. So there is a section on mental health care and therapy, and it basically says trans people, you can have therapy and it's not bad, you know? But don't do conversion therapy. Like, it explicitly denounces conversion therapy and watch and wait therapy. As a non-binary dude, my ideal medical care would be vaginoplasty with a complimentary dildo molded from my former dick and a strap, so I can just have it when I want. I have heard of women doing that. I've heard of women doing that. I'm sure that some non-binary people have done it as well. But it's like, I guess it's really difficult to, we're done with WPath now, I guess. We're going to move on to something else. We're doing dicks chat now, because it's apparent, like, usually a person who is about to get a vaginoplasty is also, like, on hormones. So it's really hard to stay hard, TLDR. Like, it's really difficult to maintain an erection for the period of time that it takes to take a dick cast, because you have to cast the dick in, like, a plaster and then pull the dick out and then, like, injection mold the silicone into that, you know? Like, that's basically how it works. And J with the gifted tier 1 sub says, maybe not purple today, but you can have dicks now. True. Thank you for that gifted tier 1 sub. I much appreciate it. 292. Hell yeah, we're almost at 300. That's fucking great. This is Sparta. That's what's gonna happen when we hit 300. I already did it just now, but I'll kick over my chair when we get to 300. That's what I'll do. This is Sparta and kick my chair onto the ground. Come on now, girl, please, come on. Why are you gonna play me like this? Do we know if related healthcare providers like pharmacists get this info too? I've been pleasantly surprised at the lack of raised eyebrows at my pharmacy with the subscriptions that I've been picking up. I'm trying to let the camera reset for a second here. I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming that it's like any gender care, like any providers who are providing, like, I guess the question there is a pharmacist a healthcare professional? Because this language is written in such a way that it's like, we say that healthcare professionals need to do X, Y, Z. So if a pharmacist is considered a healthcare professional, then yes, they would be bound by this. But I do also know that there are plenty of, usually fucking CVS for some reason, usually CVS pharmacies out there where people are consistently denied care. Like, you know, we're hearing more stories now about women being denied their fucking birth control for no specific reason. And so they're late collecting their birth control pills and end up like, I mean, it's not like you're not protected from pregnancy during that week that you don't have your pills, right? Question for the crowd. I'm finding binders unnecessarily tight. Does anyone know of a cami bra type thing that exists with no cup shape at all, just flat fabric? That is a good question. What kind of binders have you used before, Soy Boy? Is it an issue of maybe you're not getting sized correctly? Because I know that can be difficult. I have a tailor's tape that I always use to size myself when I'm buying clothes. I know that not everybody has this. You can make one if you have some paper that you can, or like, yeah, if you have like some paper that you can tape into a long strip, and also a ruler upon which to like measure that paper, you can get your measurements more accurately. But I don't necessarily know of the garment that you request. Partner says that Tomboy X has good compression tops, so that might be an option for you. Tomboy X. I think those are the ones that are being carried at Target now. Camera is being a turf. I know, Camera said, but I'm not Spartan. I'll fucking kick this camera, like, out the window when we get to $5,000. If we get to $5,000 in donos for the month, I will kick my camera out the window, because then I'll be able to afford to buy a new one. Tomboy X is not a binder. It's supposed to be like a compression top. I thought that Target was carrying some fucking binder thing, but not like not quite a binder. Target trans binder. Yeah, Target carries Tomboy X, but it's compression top. It's not like a formal binder. I've heard some people say that they're not like the safest. So I would just say, like, with anything that has a strong, like, it's because it has elastic, I think, is what makes it so it's actually kind of dangerous. Because you don't want any tight elastic around your chest. So yeah, I mean, that's generally why I recommend. I mean, I'm smaller chested, so I can do a GC2B binder. Obviously, that doesn't work for people with bigger chests. In addition to Tomboy X, there should be Femman Y. Someone out there is just waiting to pick that up as their brand. Not everywhere follows the WPath guidelines. Like, the whole UK is a ways behind them. the NHS is. Private providers are better. Didn't GC2B binders go down in quality in recent years? I hadn't heard that. Of course, like the last time I bought a binder was, gosh, I want to say it was about 2 years ago. So if it's happened more recently than that, like I bought their, when they came out with the one with the sports bra type back, you know, where it has like the X kind of shape or like a Y shape or whatever. I got one of those. So whenever they came out with those, it was like the most recent time that I bought a binder. It's been a minute. Because I don't wear them anymore, really. Someone in the YouTube chat says, I have also heard about the drop in GC2B's quality. I've never ordered a binder from them, though, so I wouldn't know. I bet that it is difficult to maintain quality of product right now with all of, like, there's probably supply chain issues. Like, it's possible that whoever they buy fabric from, like, because they don't make all the fabric. They buy the fabric and then sew it into a binder. It's possible that, like, the fabric, for example, that they're getting is lower in quality because of supply chain issues, because of all of the millions of people who've died from COVID. Origami Customs has cool binders and they can be custom made. What about 3-ring binders? Get out. I will ban you from the chat, Quantum Cactus. You're one of the only white names left. I will nuke you. It was so annoying. Do you all remember when, what was his name? Mitt Romney was talking about, like, when he was looking for his vice presidential person and was like, I got binders full of women. Like, the fact that he popularized the word binder in that context meant that I could not talk about my transness for, like, a long time without people being fucking complete idiots about it. Yeah, binders full of women. Everybody remembers. I couldn't, if I was like, my binder, people would be like, your binder full of women? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? And it's like, I'm trans, shut up and leave me alone. Oh, it was him saying how many women he employed when he ran a business? Okay. I thought that he was referring to it being like a binder full of women's resumes that he was looking at their qualifications. But it could have been women he was employing too. Yeah, it was dumb. He ruined it for the rest of us. I know. He ruined it for the T-slurs. DJ in the chat says, I ended up switching to For Them earlier this year. For Them is a binder brand, I am assuming. T-slurs rise up. Slaps Hungry Bears with another gifted tier 1 sub. Saved ya to Quantum Cactus. Them being the only white name in the chat was only an excuse to nuke them. But I'm sure that's appreciated anyway. We have even more dicks in the chat now. Even more dicks in the chat. It's interesting that we had so many more people in here when we were talking about Riley Grace Rochong than we do now. We still have, like, a good solid chunk of people in here, and I'm having a great time so far. Is this chat unionizing soon? Not allowed. I am a dictator. There will be no unionization. Oh, so the suggestion was that he didn't hire many women, and he was like, oh, we had binders full of women. Okay, I see. Dictator. True. True. Dictator actually sounds like more like, it's like, is that like a penis made of potato? Like, is it like if you pull a potato out of the ground and it looks like a dick and balls, is that a dictator? Our pronouns. True. Union meeting on the Discord. We'll all become Teamsters. No, not allowed. I am only a socialist in theory, not in practice. In practice, I am a dictator. A benevolent dictator, but a dictator nonetheless. Pentato. Potatus. I like potatus. That's funny. Potitus. Penis. Oh my god, that's very funny. I'm gonna have to get more water in a second. Wow. I'm rolling right now. This is very funny. Oh my goodness. If the streamers didn't have white names, they would invent them. Oh no. Oh gosh. Do we have anything else serious to talk about today? I'm fucking sure I do. My voice is starting to get tired. I can't be doing 2-hour streams 3 nights a week. That's so short. I'm just so tired. I'm so sad and so tired. Maybe we'll drop the more serious topics for tonight and just do a reaction to Anthony Padilla interviews trans men. Just to kind of see what that's like. I don't know. Anthony Padilla is like a pretty respectful person and everything, so I'm not really expecting it to be shitty or anything. But that's one of the things that's on the potential for tonight. Biden says the pandemic is over. I don't know that I actually really want to go into much detail about that. Yes, Ty Turner is in the video. I didn't really care that much about watching it until I found out that Ty Turner was in it. So I was like, ooh. But yeah, Biden saying the pandemic is over. Like, okay, so I guess I will talk about that. Biden says the pandemic is over. Because I'm really frustrated by a personal experience that I had this weekend regarding the pandemic status and all that shit. So maybe we will go ahead and bring that up. I gotta get more water, though. My throat is seriously starting to give out on me. Okay, so I want to talk about how Biden said the pandemic is over, and other people seem to be hopping on board and agreeing with that, and I think it's pretty fucking irritating, because it sort of seems to me like I keep hearing about people dying of, like, sudden blood clot in their brain, or, like, increasing brain fog after multiple exposures to fucking COVID. You know, like, it kind of seems to me like people are still dying by the thousands each week, and people are becoming permanently disabled by even significantly higher numbers, you know? Like, what the estimations of the people with long COVID is like over 10 million now? Like, it's fucking crazy. Hold on. So I'm like mad about it, right? Let's look at this fucking article. He did an interview on 60 Minutes. So I chose this article to start with because this does sort of give us a little bit of perspective on this with some numbers here. So, like, technically it is better than it was before, but hold on. So he said, the pandemic is over. We still have a problem with COVID. We're still doing a lot of work on it, but the pandemic is over. He also said, if you notice, no one's wearing masks. Everyone seems to be in pretty good shape, except for the people who are permanently disabled and dead. I'm so mad. So I think it's changing, and I think this is the perfect example of it. Like, no one's wearing masks because people are, like, can't maintain the vigilance for that long. And, like, I get it. It's frustrating to try to maintain your vigilance for that long. God. Oh, what's up, Bird? Welcome to the chat. So good to have you. Thank you so much for joining in. And good night, Spider. So he's trying to say, like, oh, I think it's changing, like, because people have just, like, decided to give up on mitigating this thing. Like, America has just totally given up on mitigating this thing, whereas the World Health Organization still designates the virus as a public health emergency of international concern. And the Director General, Tedros, said last week that the end of the pandemic is in sight, but we are not there yet. The reason why the pandemic end is in sight, but we're not there yet, is because there's one country on the world with about 350 million fucking people in it that's just doing absolutely nothing to mitigate the spread of this thing, you know? And like, we're lucky that people are vaccinated and it's less difficult than it was before. So, because here, to be totally honest, it is better than it was at a previous point. Okay, I will grant that, because there were just over 440,000 new COVID cases and nearly 3,000 deaths from the virus in the past week. So within the past week of this article being written, which was it was updated September 18, which compares with in January 2021, there was one 7-day period in which there were 5.6 million new cases reported. So that's a significant difference, 400,000 versus 5 million, and 23,000 deaths in that 7-day period versus 3,000 deaths from the 7-day period that we're observing more recently. So I will admit that it seems to be, based on just purely on the numbers, less deadly. I still think 3,000 deaths a week is fucking crazy. And it really pisses me off that the public health profession, like the public health messaging on this, has failed so miserably. This is what bothers me about it, is that it's very blatantly obvious to me at this stage in my life that, like, if you're following what the CDC says, you are effectively following, like, what the politicians around the CDC want to happen, right? We should have locked this country down for at least 2 months. We should have paid everyone to go home and stay home. We should mandate the fucking vaccine. Like, we could have done a lot of shit, and we just decided not to. And it's because the people in charge are saying, like, when, like, do you remember when they changed to say, like, oh, you're fine, like, you're fine after 5 days, unless, like, even if you're testing positive, you can't spread it. Like, I saw someone this weekend who I had not seen the previous weekend. I'm doing this, like, seasonal job at the Renaissance Festival. I didn't see this person the previous weekend because they were sick with COVID, and they were back this previous weekend saying, like, oh, I am going to keep testing positive for a couple months, and I have this cough that's going to last a while, but because I've passed the 5 days, you know, I'm listening to the scientists at the CDC who say it's okay. And I'm just like, why the fuck am I having to, I didn't end up explaining this. I was like, I probably need to just not be in this conversation because I'm pissed off immediately. But, like, why do I need to explain to someone who's, like, 20 years older than me in the 3rd year of a global fucking pandemic that if you have a detectable virus load in your nose goop, then you're breathing out COVID droplets at all times? Like, am I wrong about this? Like, has the premise of virality and, like, epidemiology changed within the past year? Like, am I wrong in thinking that if you are testing positive, then you are breathing out COVID constantly? Like, it's insane to me that people, that like, the CDC can just be like, by the way, they're gonna just keep, as far as I know, 2/3 of people aren't contagious after 5 days, but the fact that 1/3 of people still are is significant. Like, if you're still testing positive, how are you not contagious? Like, logically speaking, can someone logically explain to me how you can have a detectable viral load of COVID in your nostrils but not being contagious? Like, I don't think that logically follows. Virus particle does not equal live virus. So it's like what you're testing for is just virus particle. So you could have, like, particles of it that are dead in your system. Like, how do you confirm whether you're contagious or not then? Like, I don't, how do you confirm? I think you're still contagious, just less. I don't understand how you're supposed to confirm that you're not contagious anymore if you're just expected to test positive for forever. The test is usually picking up the spike protein on the outside of the virus. You're most contagious right before testing positive and within the first 2 to 3 days. So right before you test positive is when you're most contagious. There's no way to confirm you aren't contagious fundamentally. Yeah. I mean, like, that's truly the question that I would have, is like, how do you confirm that you aren't contagious? And it sucks that there's, I guess, no way to actually confirm that. It's just fewer people are contagious after a period of time. That's like, that's so shit. That's not good. I'm like, it's bad enough that this is a virus that's like, for some people, totally asymptomatic in the first place. Like, it's bad enough that you could be contagious and not even know that you're sick. That's been like the problem this whole fucking time, is that people can be spreading it without knowing it, right? Like, that was what was so dangerous about COVID. That was like one of the very specific things that they said about it at the beginning. The reason why you're supposed to wear a fucking mask all the time is because you don't know whether you're sick or not. You could be contagious and not be sick. The rationale could be that you're still inflamed, but there are not high numbers of virus in your system or being shed. Coughing, etc. is not directly from a virus. It's the body being angry with itself after all. Well, yeah, so I'm not saying that coughing is directly from the virus, but that coughing is expelling a bunch of fucking mucus goop into the air. You know what I'm trying to say? Safest to assume you're contagious. Honestly, like, I don't know, man. I've been wearing a mask even when not COVID positive. Oh, are you talking about around one of your family members? They're looking at fatalities and they've decided that they've gone down to an acceptable level. Yeah, it's like, you're not like, I don't think you're statistically less likely to die from it. In fact, like, if we're looking at these numbers, like, we would have to do the math or whatever, but like, looking at this, it's like, if this week there were 400,000 new COVID cases, which, like, you know, you can't, I'm like just looking proportionately versus 3,000 deaths. Like, if we were to just take the 3,000 out of this number, which is not necessarily the most accurate way to do this, like, what is the hold on, what is the percentage difference of how many people are newly infected versus dying? Just to check that ratio. So 3,000 out of 440,000. So like a 6%, 0.6% chance of dying in that situation, compared to the 23,000 out of 5.6 million new cases in January 2021. 0.4%, or hold on, yeah, is that, yeah, 0.4%. So you're actually statistically more likely to die just based on those kind of shitty numbers that I made up. You're slightly more likely to die from it now, but still relatively unlikely, I suppose. That's not the part that I'm necessarily worried about, though. The part that I'm worried about is not, like, just the am I going to die part. I agree, DJ. I feel like it's so stupid that people are allowed to go out while they're testing positive. Like, I think you should at least wait, like, a few weeks before you go out without a mask on, you know? Like, but I don't know. I just actually care about not getting fucked up or fucking up people around me, and I also don't trust the CDC. Pro tip, you can tie the straps of some masks or mask extensions into a ponytail or bun if your ears are too sensitive. Yeah, and like you can like 3D print a little plastic thing that like you can hook the things on. People I know have been getting severe COVID and long COVID. Like, really, is it gonna take knowing someone who's died or has long COVID? Like, and I think like probably a lot of people have long COVID and they're not recognizing that what they're dealing with is like a disability. You know, they're not necessarily aware. Like, they're like, oh, I'm so tired, you know, and it's like, yeah, man, like you're so tired. That's long COVID, you know. Completed 80% of my essay. Nice. Well done. She knows no name. I'm glad that you've gotten some shit done. I try to stay up to date, but I don't even know what the symptoms of long COVID are. I mean, it's like, it can range from as mild as like you feel a little bit slower, you have a little bit of a memory problem. Like my doctor, like my physician, my GP had COVID a few months ago, and he's still like, I can even tell the difference when we're talking on the phone. He'll like forget the word that he's looking for. Like he just takes a second to like think of the word exactly that he's trying to say. So it can range from something as mild, quote unquote, as neurological effects. Not good. General fatigue, like fatigue that can be as little as like, well, I'm a little bit more tired now than I used to be, ranging all the way up to like MECFS. Is that what it's called? Hold on. Yeah, myalgic encephalomyelitis and chronic fatigue syndrome. This is something that some people have developed post-COVID. It's a disabling and complex illness. People with MECFS are often not able to do their usual activities. I think I know someone who was recently given this diagnosis, and they're like, I'm at a point where I'm almost at a point where people have to physically feed me because I cannot move my body. Like, so yeah, like at times this may confine them to bed. People with MECFS have overwhelming fatigue that is not improved by rest. It may get worse after any activity, whether physical or mental. The symptom is known as post-exertional malaise. Other symptoms can include problems with sleep, thinking, and concentrating, pain and dizziness. People with MECFS may not look ill. They may not be able to function the same way they did before they became ill. It changes people's ability to do daily tasks like taking a shower or preparing a meal. Can you imagine if you are so tired that the only thing you could bring yourself to do in the entire day is drag yourself to the shower, where you have a stool that you sit on in the shower when you bathe, and then you get out of the shower and you immediately have to go to bed because that took all of your energy for the day? That is a potential risk of catching COVID. An additional risk of COVID is I don't know if this is technically considered long COVID, but for the first 12 months after you've had it, and I imagine that this stacks and also resets the timer each new time that you catch COVID. It can, oh shoot, my brain just fucking cleaned itself out. Shoot. Oh, it can cause sudden blood clots, like cardiovascular issues, which means that like sometimes you hear stories. Yeah, the brain fog got me. Some people say like, oh my God, it's the thing is that I keep reading your comments. That's the thing. I got to stop looking at what you're saying. You can have a sudden heart attack. Like people are talking about like, oh, my coworker just like dropped dead of a heart attack at age 28. Are these neurological symptoms permanent? Don't know. Remains to be seen. Probably. I mean, like some of them are better. Like losing your sense of smell is a neurological effect. And for some people, their sense of smell comes back. So some of it is not permanent necessarily. But like, we don't know how permanent these things are and like how much, and it's hard to determine if most people are getting repeat infections too. Like, I also read recently that if you have had COVID 5 times in the past 2 years, that your T cells, which are they function for your immune system, your T cell levels are about the same as what they would be if you just had completely untreated HIV for 10 years. Like, basically, it's like effectively like having... Is it effectively like having AIDS, basically? Like, the whole syndrome part doesn't necessarily come into it, but like your T cell count is rough. I was just reading about that more recently. So the effects of long COVID are not understood well, and the effects of repeated exposure are not well understood. Any virus that is with you for the rest of your life can cause post-viral complications, like herpes. Like, if you just get the cold sores once in a while, that can cause complications that are like full body viral issues. So if you catch COVID multiple times, each time you catch COVID, that's a different virus. That's like, so if you catch COVID 5 times in 2 years, you just have 5 viruses living with you now for the rest of your life. You know, I don't know of any way to get rid of them. So yeah, it's not great. That changed that sounds like what I went through with swine flu back whenever that was. I was practically crawling across the floor. I was so tired. Completely changed my understanding of exhaustion and fogginess. Yes, other viruses can cause long-term effects, not just COVID. And they can stack. Like, anyway. Lost a lot of people talking about COVID. Like, lost some people talking about COVID. That's all right. This is why I'm still as vigilant as I am, because I know too many things. Like, I'm sorry if I'm a fucking bummer with the COVID talk, but like, I cannot afford, like, I want to live, right? Like, I want to live and I want to be able to do things, and I can't fucking afford to have more disability than I do. COVID talk sometimes gets so unhappy that I have to take a break or I'll get too stressed and anxious. Yeah, it's hard. Like, it's hard to balance that. Like, knowing constantly that there is damn good reason to be hypervigilant, but still like trying to live your life and like deal with the fact that people are just going to look at you weird when you when you're wearing masks still. Will my 5 vaccinations help me from the worst of this? Ostensibly, yes. It is supposed to help you. Like, I only have 4. I got my 2 original vaccines, and then I got 1 booster earlier this year because I was going to be going to an event that I wanted to feel safe about, and I didn't end up sick afterwards. I also avoid closed spaces with people. I try not to be in situations where I don't have a mask indoors, you know. And then I got my bivalent booster last week. So, and especially it's good because the bivalent booster is going to help you. I missed out on the latest booster. Okay. I think you can get it as soon as 2 weeks after you've had the other booster. But if you have only gotten 1 booster before, you should get this new one. Because this new one is protecting against Omicron. Omicron is the one that is it's like you can catch it multiple times. Like, it's the one that's not right. Did you get the monkeypox vaccine yet? I haven't asked about that. I haven't asked my doctor about it. I don't think I qualify. I mean, technically, my partner and I are separating, but I don't know if we're actually like ending our relationship, because you're supposed to like only get the vaccine if you're a promiscuous gay or trans, right? And I'm not like a promiscuous gay or trans right now. Currently, I'm a monogamous gay or trans. New booster just dropped at Walgreens. Yeah, I called my local health department last week, and I was like, when are you getting the bivalent vaccine? And they were like, well, this week, basically. Like, you'll get them... like, you can get them at Walgreens, a couple of different pharmacies. There's a couple clinics happening. So I got my booster, my bivalent booster on Friday from Pfizer, because I've just been getting Pfizer. Nobody in my rural ass area offers the monkeypox vaccine. Don't you know, monkeypox only affects big city gays. They gave them away like candy at the Pride Festival here. I could see them having a bunch of monkeypox vaccines at the Pride Festival, but I'd... really, honestly, like, after the Pulse nightclub shooting in 2016, I just am not comfortable going to Pride Place, like Pride stuff. And Pride also happens usually in like 90-degree weather here. And I cannot be under the sun in 90-degree weather. Like, I just physically cannot do that. I think it's amazing we literally got rid of at least 2 flu strains in early COVID times due to lockdown and measures, and now we can't keep COVID contained at all. Yeah, like like a couple strains of flu just kind of went extinct because of our masking practices. Like, does that not like why are we not masking every flu season? We should do this every year in flu season. And like honestly, I just kind of feel like it's good public health practice in any situation. Like, I don't know. I struggle with this a little bit because it's like, is it better if you get exposed to illnesses and then develop a strong immune system by exposure to like the common cold? Or is it better? Because, you know, like that's the one major danger of people like us, white people, colonizers, folks going to uncontacted places is because we carry so many viruses that they would catch our viruses and die. Yes, that's how they won in War of the Worlds. So it's like, I feel like we should try to eradicate these diseases as much as possible, but I don't know if that's going to inadvertently make us susceptible when inevitably a new disease hops over from some animal into us, because, you know, we cannot necessarily control the spread of disease among animal populations. In Colorado, you can just get monkeypox vax. Maybe I'll ask my doctor and see what the situation is with that. I'll need to wait a couple weeks anyway because I just got my bivalent vaccine, and you're supposed to wait like a couple weeks, I guess. Generally between vaccines, just a couple weeks. Maybe that's not the same if you get two different viruses. I don't know. The vaccines do help your immune system, same as exposure. Yeah, but we don't have like a vaccine for the common cold. So what I was referring to is like, why do we not mask every year to reduce the spread and reduce the mutation? Yeah, so like we don't have a vaccine for everything. See ya, Violet. Have a good night. Sorry things were tense earlier. I need to have more protocol in place for no cussing each other out in my stream chat. That's probably a rule that we need to just have. No more cussing each other out. We're here to be friends. Looking at the conditions of poorer countries, and I'm just like, how do they live in diseases? It's wild. Yeah, I'm glad that you stuck around, Violet. No worries. I think Morningstar System might have booked it at the time, but it's cool. Just try to keep calm, carry on. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna wrap up here soon, I think, which is fine because I had more than enough material today, so that'll give us guaranteed we'll have shit to talk about later this week. That is a thing that I have a tendency to do sometimes, is I blow my load on a stream where I cover like 20 million topics, and then I don't have any fucking material later in the week. So we had some longer segments tonight talking about this stuff, and I'm pleased with how it went. Yeah, NBJ, I say that I use that phrase a lot. Like, I don't want to blow my load right at the beginning here. Like, I blow my load on stream. You can, like, I would get in trouble for that, right? Like, on Twitch, they ban you if you blow your load on stream. I don't know how it works on YouTube. There was did anyone see those videos some number of years ago? They might have been removed from YouTube now, but it was a series, like an artistic black and white series of women reading books while sitting on a vibrator. And it was just like to see their facial reactions. Like you only saw the table and the book that they were reading, and they were supposed to like keep trying to read while being stimulated, and like they were videoed like having an orgasm. Hysterical literature. Yeah, I bet that they're not allowed on YouTube anymore. Twitch, white supremacy is okay, but don't blow your load. True. There's a reason why I don't stream on Twitch. Supposedly all the things that I hated about the idea of streaming on Twitch have gotten better, except for the fact that they don't let you dual stream, and I'm a fucking YouTuber first, dude. Sorry. You watched that like 3 weeks ago? Wow. I thought I was making a really deep cut reference, but you've just rewatched them, Juno. I thought I was on crazy pills because no one else knew what I was talking about IRL. I'm glad that we've provided you some sanity, Slaps Hungry Bears. Still on YouTube. Okay. It's still there. Yeah. I mean, this is exactly what I remember it being. Just some person. Wow, that was a great still. Hold on. Hold on. Where was that still? Let's get back to that still, because that was a great one. I might not be able to ever find it again, but that was a good one. Yeah, anyway, I don't want to get zucked. Showing women orgasming. Isn't women orgasming one of the things that, like, makes, like, movies X-rated? Like, isn't that one of the reasons why Boys Don't Cry has such an intense movie rating? Because there is an extremely long scene of the main character, like, going down on his lady, and it's like, you just see her response and, like, her face and her orgasm, and that's why the movie is rated, like, it's rated R or rated X? I can't remember. It might be rated X. That has to be a legit kink, right? Which part, Slaps Hungry Bears? Like, specifically reading while sitting on a vibrator, or watching someone fully clothed come just by their facial reactions? Like, I don't know. I don't know. Probably a lot of different things about that is someone's kink out there. Yeah, women enjoying their bodies, no bueno, not allowed. Don't do it. How could you? In the 80s, when we had a movie theater, we were told that women could completely strip, but if a penis is seen, it's an instant NC-17 or X rating. Well, in the 80s, like, women have bush, right? In the 80s, women have bush. So it's like, if a woman is stripped naked, like, you can't really see anything. Like, the pussy is, like, you know, it's in there. Ah, shit. I showed foot on stream. Fuck. This VOD can't go up. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to blur that if the VOD goes up. I can't. John Get Bent with a tier 1 sub. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Another great stream. Love the diversity of topics. Yeah, we can talk about all kinds of shit here. At least it wasn't bare feet. Yeah, that's true. At least it wasn't bare feet. No, Anansi, I'm joking. Sorry, I'm just joking about how feet pics are worth money. Excuse me. I'm not talking about my feet. Is that the Sparta moment? That wasn't the Sparta moment. I did just cross the 300 threshold, though. So, hold on. Is there a way that I can do this that's not going to be extremely disruptive? Because I'm going to do it. Hold on. Just going to put some padding on the floor here. Okay. Awesomesocks.club. Okay. I can't get my microphone any closer to me, so you're just gonna have to... I'm just gonna have to shout from over here, okay? Okay? This is Sparta! There. I made a loud noise. Very rudely. It was fun, though. Identify Mitternoch's current location, please. He's on the couch. He's fine. Alright. True, Anansi. At least the dog nodding won't get you banned. I can talk about dog nodding as much as I want. I just can't show dog nodding, you know? They showed everything with women in the 80s. However, showing a man's part was enough to get an NC-17 rating. NC-17 could get graphic violence as well. Interesting. Not docking? True. True. Shaved used to be the fetish, now hairy is the fetish. Yeah, like, guy in a gorilla suit, when it was like the, shite Kweise. It was like the 80s and 90s when bush was most common, so it was like the shaved pussy was what was desirable. But then it was like shaved pussy became the normal, so now it's like bush is the weird niche thing. Can't say that I'm a huge fan of bush. I feel like you just keep it trimmed. You know, I'm not asking for shaved, just keep it trimmed. Personal preference, but that's for everybody. That's for bush, that's for balls, that's for everybody. Keep it trimmed, all right? Be polite. Nobody wants to get, like, curly cues stuck between their teeth, all right? Bush is a war criminal, true. I mean, I don't know why we're talking about that, but true. Speaking of feet, mine hurt from working. Yeah, it's repetitive stress injury from working and being on your feet all the time is definitely a for real thing. Yeah. We're having a good time. We're having an enjoyable evening. I'm so psyched about those new WPATH guidelines. I think, like, I keep putting it off, but I think maybe tomorrow I will call the clinic that and see if I can get my consultation for fallow. Just, again, it's going to be more than a year out, then I might as well get on the list. Might as well get on the list. Foot injuries suck. I've been rehabbing plantar fasciitis for almost a year now. Oh, man. I one time when I worked in a retail job, there was a door that it was a freezer door that didn't seal right. So it would slowly develop condensation and freeze shut. And I was trying to kick the door open and I like fractured, like if this was my foot, like let's just pretend my toes are really, really long. There's something in my foot right here that hurt so badly that I couldn't really walk on it right for like 6 to 8 weeks. And then now like most mornings when I wake up, I'm like not able to put weight on it without hurting it a whole lot. Jimmy Snow merch. Yes, Jaybird. Jimmy sent me this a long time ago. And he also invited me to come on his show recently. And I've just been really bad about getting back to him on that. But I should do that collab because I think it would be fun. It would be good for the channel. And I like Jimmy. We're friends. We just don't talk a whole lot lately because we're both very busy people. But yes. When you're a friend, you get the free merch. Sometimes. Occasionally. Yes, I have super long toes under those socks. I'm going to say a whole bunch of misleading shit about my feet so that the foot fetish people are always guessing. They're always guessing. I would sell feet pics. Probably for a pretty high price, but like I would do it. If you want me to fin-dom you, I will do that too. Absolutely. That's like the best job in the world. Sell feet pics. True. Oh my god. Selfies of my feet. Sell feet pics. Oh my god. That's hilarious. I mean, I'm about to be out on my own for the first time in the world, and I've been thinking about, like, am I going to need to supplement my income? Like, I make pretty decent money streaming. It's not like not a hugely thriving amount of money. So I'm like, should I do something like OnlyFans? Maybe not post any actual nudes, but just like softcore or whatever. I don't know. Or feet pics, you know, could be fun. A coworker of mine was talking about setting up a feet finder profile. So you're saying your coworker is a feet person? Congrats, she who knows no name. Finished citing my essay. Bedtime for me at 3 a.m. Teaching in a school tomorrow. Well, yeah, if you are, if it's fucking 3 a.m. and you gotta do shit later, you know, go to bed. Streaming, but just a shot of your feet following you around all day. I would have to vacuum way more often than I currently vacuum in order for me to do that. No, my feet do not hurt in the heel in the morning. It hurts. It's only like, I mean, pretend that this whole thing, like from my fingertips all the way down to my sleeve is my foot, you know, to make it proportional. The place that hurts is right here. My heel would be way down here. This is the place that hurts. Like the ball of my foot, I guess, and like in between. Go the Conyer route and do fit pics. Does Conyer just put fit pics on there? It's not OnlyFans, is it? Does she have OnlyFans? They have OnlyFans, or is it something else? Oh, she was planning. Oh, putting up a feet finder profile and selling feet pics. Okay. It's not OnlyFans, but it is a similar site, Fansly. Okay, yeah. That's, I mean, I do very like to occasionally put just crazy hot goth outfits together and then not post pictures because they would be too hot to post on Twitter. OnlyFans, but it's you reading stories for insomniacs. True. Gotta catch Z's for work in the AM. See ya, Jake. Yeah, it's getting a little bit later. It's getting a little bit later. My toes do not lock either. No. One of my toes got broken at one point and no longer bends at one of the joints, but that's because I broke the joint and then didn't go to the doctor. So that's a thing that I do sometimes. Fansly is the good site that a lot of people migrated to when OnlyFans was gonna ban prawns. I'm tragically a vampire, so I'm just up early for work. Any all user like it's an ancient technique in a shonen anime. Hey, Anansi says joint doctors will smoke you out. True. Just came in and y'all talking about feet pics. Dang, Cat Lord, the economy is rough out there, okay? What do you suggest for a way to supplement my income without subjecting myself to unacceptable COVID risk and workplace intolerances? I suggest feet pics for income. Exactly. There you go. OnlyFans wanted to ban prawns. When will society finally wake up to the oppression faced by our crustacean comrades? True. Oh, shit. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna go ahead and hop off because I need to do something about my crustaceans. Do you see those right there? Those Tupperwares in the background? Those are my bugs. Those are my bugs. And I need to take some of my bugs out of one of those containers and put them in my partner's terrarium because there are way too many bugs inside the container. And I would either need to cull some of them or buy a bigger box. So what bugs? I have isopods. Let's see if I can just pull up a sample photo of one of the, let's see, Porcellio pruinosis, orange cream. Let's see if we can find any photos of this one species that I have that I was referring to. Yeah, so this, these cutie pies these are roly-polies. So like they're the size of a roly-poly. Except that these ones don't roll up because they're too flat. Like, I don't know if you can tell. They're just very flat boys. And so this is the orange cream variety, which is like, it's a white one mixed with an orange one. So they have this like orange cream soda kind of thing going on. So that's one of my breeds of isopods. I keep bugs as pets. So... yeah. Roly-poly is more like flatty patties. True. So, yeah, my partner has the same species of bugs in his terrarium, except that his are orange instead of, like, this orange and white color. But the population in there is kind of dwindling, so I'm going to reduce my population by putting them in his terrarium. What is their lifespan? I don't actually know. It seems like they take fucking forever to grow. Like they, my oldest culture is a few months old and they've had babies starting a few months ago and none of those babies have reached adulthood yet. So I don't have any idea actually. I think it depends based on species. But they also reproduce prolifically enough that it would be hard to tell after a certain point how long they were living. And they also give live birth and they often die while they're giving live birth. So, yeah, like my partner has one culture that like after purchasing the adults, like every single time one of the adults has given birth, the adult has died. So all of the individuals in that colony are like babies who are developing because all of the adults have died chest burster style in giving live birth. So yeah, it's also like that's something that also changes their lifespan expectations. But yeah, anyway, I'm gonna go do that. And thank you all so much for hanging out with me tonight. I feel like today was a really great stream. I'm glad that we had as many in-depth conversations as we had. We got lots of donos, which I always appreciate because that's a big part of what I'm here for. And seriously, like, I'm about to move into my own place, and that's very stressful. I'll start that GoFundMe probably this week to get the additional help. And I will see you all on Thursday, where we have a couple of topics already lined up. So peace out, rock on, and I'll see you later this